Gallagher and Jorginho in the middle, and then Mount, Havertz and Sterling. So just about set for kick-off here. Leeds United against Chelsea. Referee Stuart Atwell is ready. It's going to be Chelsea to kick off. Raheem Sterling is over the ball, still looking for his first competitive goal for his new club. Leeds in the first half will attack to our right towards the packed Norman Hunter stand over there. And Chelsea kick off, and Sterling plays the ball back to Koulibaly, who drives it downfield, and there's an immediate collision, an immediate stoppage in play after an aerial challenge on that far side. Kai Havertz, just a swinging arm, did make contact. It's a free kick, nothing more than that. On Roca. Here come Chelsea with Sterling down the left-hand side into the penalty area, onto his right foot, making space and shooting wide from a couple of yards inside the box. Just lacked that extra little bit of bend and curl on it. Otherwise, it would be 1-0 in the first minute.
The speed in which Sterling gets onto the ball there, but the ease in which he cuts through that entire defence there. He had so many options. He could have played Cucurella, who had gone outside him there. He'd have been one-on-one with a goalkeeper. That would be a real concern this early on for Leeds United.
That's Pat Nevin, Scotland international, twice a Chelsea Player of the Year. And we're sitting up here on the gantry that hangs from the roof of the ageless John Charles stand. And the ball is fired out of play by Koulibaly down below us on the touchline. A throw in for one of the recent signings, one of the summer signings, Christensen. So Christensen, actually Adams as well, and Roca in midfield, and Aronson has started all of the matches so far. So a significant change for Leeds as Rodrigo, the captain, fouls Jorginho, and it's a free kick to Chelsea on the halfway line. But also, as well as Bamford, it's the problem of last season as well for Leeds. Bamford's out, Cooper's out, Gallas is out, Ayling is out, all important players. But they've made an unbeaten start to the season, and here they are against Chelsea as the ball is played through the middle towards Rodrigo, and then Tyler Adams puts in an excellent challenge. They enjoyed that. Rodrigo goes through Koulibaly's challenge, but there was cover there in the space of Jorginho, in the shape of Jorginho, and Chelsea were able to clear it away. Brilliant noise. And now here's Harrison on the left-hand side. Harrison's low cross is easily intercepted. It actually hit Reece James, who's able to play it away, and it bounces out of play for a Leeds throw. Pat Nevin.
Very good reaction from Leeds there. They got a shock in those first minute there, almost losing a goal, but they've come straight back into it and they stand up to Chelsea. Interesting enough, Rodrigo gets his first chance to run at Koulibaly, goes straight on his left foot. Koulibaly's got a bit of a weakness there, and he spotted it right away and walked past him.
So it is 0-0 in the very early stages. Still West Ham 0, Brighton 0 in the other Premier League match going on right now. Cricket on Sports Extra, incidentally. It's the one-day cup today, the 100 later. And the ball is out of play for a throw to Leeds, halfway inside the Chelsea half, which is taken to Harrison, who's set up 2 goals so far this season. And then the ball is whipped in from the left-hand side. Dan James near the left corner of the box, but got right underneath it and sent it sailing away over the top of the crossbar. Just got to keep an eye on Dan James as well, after the way that the match started last season, when James was sent off inside the first half hour. Really not a good tackle on Kovacic. No, red carded.
They've actually, I mean, we're wondering whether they would start him up front on point or Rodrigo. Actually, they've started Rodrigo up front, James more on the right-hand side, but both players are able to move and be adaptable as the game goes on.
Well, and in goes James with a very good challenge. And now Aronson keeps his feet. It bounces back to the edge of the penalty area, then work to Harrison on the left, onto his right foot. Harrison with a curler, but it's straight at Mendy, who is able to just pat it down in front of his face and gather it on the bounce.
Twice Conor Gallagher's been caught in the ball in a deep area. You can't do that. That happened last week when Jorginho got caught. Spurs went away and scored the goal. If you're playing as one of those two centre midfielders, you can't afford to lose it there.
Gallagher did well actually there, though, in central midfield. Was caught late, but referees allowed the play to continue with the advantage. Sterling to the edge of the area. Mount plays it square. Loftus-Cheek is onto it. Congested box, and it was congested. 2 defenders threw themselves in front of Loftus-Cheek to deflect it behind for a corner.
This is old Leeds, isn't it? I know Chelsea is end-to-end. It's been a brilliant start to the game. Chelsea down this left-hand side. Sterling looks in fantastic form. he's had a real go at Ruben Loftus-Cheek there, because Ruben Loftus-Cheek, you've got to put your laces through that first time. You don't get 3, 4, 5 touches, well, unless you're Raheem Sterling in the box. He should have put his laces through that one, tried to take it inside, ended up only getting a corner when he should have had a shot on target.
Promising start, Pat.
Oh yes, I thought it would be lively.
Leeds 0, Chelsea 0. Corner from the right, the first corner of the match. Into the near post, it's cleared away. Rodrigo got to it, stretched out his leg and volleyed it away. So that is the first corner failure today, Pat. From Mount, wasn't it, on the far side, who swung the ball in. Remember, you and I, when we last commentated together on Chelsea the first Saturday evening of the season, they had 16 corners, didn't score from any of them, and then against Tottenham, Cucurella took the first one and they scored from it.
Yes, I think there's an idea that they had to change the corner kick takers. The quality wasn't good, and considering...
Clash of heads, Loftus-Cheek and Struijk, who was just stretching for it. The ball bounced up between them. He headed it and then followed through into Loftus-Cheek, who I don't think knew a great deal about that.
No, he didn't, but when you hit Loftus-Cheek, you tend to stay hit. He's a big old lad.
He's an absolute, he's a real sculpture, isn't he?
Yeah.
Loftus-Cheek.
When you're looking at right-hand side of Chelsea, Reece James and Loftus-Cheek, the physicality they have over there is incredible. There's already been a couple of those kind of challenges so far. We're getting another view of it just now, and to be honest, I think Loftus-Cheek, we will have a look at that.
Caught his shoulder.
Yeah, shoulder, you need to be careful.
Jumped in with his shoulder. And Jesse Marsh has had words to say, actually, to Michael Salisbury, the fourth official. We have to keep an eye down there as well, Pat, after what happened last Sunday afternoon.
You wouldn't. Well, the thing is, if the referee's letting it go, it's either a red card or nothing, I believe. So it's kind of a yellow, can it?
No.
So I think it's going to go. That doesn't look like a red card to me.
Not to me either. Well, Struijk has received treatment. He'll have to leave the field. Obviously, the protocols are involved here because it was a head injury. So he leaves the field on the far side. For anyone, by the way, who's wondering how can Thomas Tuchel be on the touchline today and has perhaps missed it, because it did come out quite late on Friday night, is that Meslier clears the ball away from inside his penalty area, but Cucurella heads it forward, bounces down centrally, comes back to Adams off Gallagher, and then the ball played forward by Christensen, but that comes back at Leeds again. But Tyler Adams is there, the American international, to play it up through the middle to his fellow USA international, Brendan Aronson, who then is able to see the ball back into central defence, and Leeds have it in their own right back position. Yeah, the one match touchline ban that Thomas Tuchel has received is suspended currently, pending his written reasons for the incident, so he may yet serve a one-match touchline ban. Now Aronson carries it forward promisingly and then tried to play the diagonal pass back infield, but Koulibaly read that. The ball's been won back by Marc Roca, though, the Spanish midfielder. Now down the left-hand side, Harrison's ball in! Mendy, full stretch, punches it away. Ball played in by Christensen. Rattles around the edge of the Chelsea penalty area, and then a crucial touch away from Reece James. And Chelsea play it downfield for Sterling, and Sterling is just beaten to it by Robin Koch, the central defender, who passes the ball down the line. Great tempo here. Aronson beats Koulibaly, has his shirt pulled. The place is in absolute ferment here. Everyone saw that white number 7 shirt being pulled. There's the cheers for the yellow card for the grab of the shirt. Koulibaly, first man booked.
Yeah, he's had 2 involvements in the game, Koulibaly. One of them, he completely and utterly flat-footed and was done totally by Rodrigo. Second one, done again on that left-hand side. He looks uncomfortable as a left centre-back. He looks like a player who would be more comfortable as a right centre-back. And he just pulls back. I mean, not only once, it was twice or 3 times he pulled back the shot there. That's really, really silly to be caught that early, because he had cover behind him. We're less than 9 minutes into the game and he's tiptoeing.
Leeds 0, Chelsea 0. Still West Ham 0, Brighton 0. But the free kick for Leeds. Harrison left-footed plays it in. I was headed up and away. James, I think, got his head to it first in amongst a crowd of players. Comes back to the halfway line. Elland Road absolutely bathed in sunshine. Glorious sight. But all of those winter months ahead of us, Pat. But lovely conditions today. Meslier just puts his foot on the ball and then overhits it away downfield. And it bounces out of play. Jesse Marsh suddenly is very sprightly on the edge of the coaching area there. Unbeaten start to the season for him. after the last gasp survival, and fourth official Michael Salisbury's already chasing after him and telling him that he can't go outside the technical area. Here's Cucurella now on the left-hand side for Chelsea. Cucurella challenged by Christensen, ran into the Danish international and has been brought back actually for a free kick to Chelsea 10 yards inside their own half. That wasn't for the Christensen challenge, was it?
I suspect it could have been for both, to be fair. I think Cucurella is slightly taken out of the game there. Again, his willingness to get forward. He never seems to get the ball and stay static. For a full-back there, he just keeps on going. But I think it's a good player, and Dan James are going to stick with him for pace.
James, his clearance came back at him, and then he's cleverly played the ball out of play off Harrison for a goal kick to Chelsea. So Leeds 0, Chelsea 0. So Thomas Tuchel had this big decision today in the absence of Kante, the injured Kante. Kovacic also out of the picture, injured at the moment. You know, whether he was going to disrupt things, bring Azpilicueta back in to play on the right-hand side of the three and move James out there and Loftus-Cheek in field. It was a big decision, Pat, wasn't it?
Do you know, there's no obvious right one, because he's not got his favoured players in that sort of area, and Kovacic and Kante. It didn't want to take Ruben Loftus-Cheek away. So yeah, tough decision for him, but at the moment there's not a great deal between the teams. It's a really lively game, isn't it?
Gallagher caught in possession there though by Dan James, but it comes to nothing for Leeds, and Gallagher himself, after a free kick is given to Chelsea, takes the ball and hits it away downfield, and it bounces out of play off Loftus-Cheek, in fact off the defender, off Stroud, who's back on the field obviously, okay after that knock on the head. Throw in for Chelsea, Loftus-Cheek takes it back to Havertz, but then Chelsea lose possession. More Leeds cheers, comes back to Tyler Adams on the edge of the box, chips it away onto the head of James. They're unforgiving, aren't they, this Leeds crowd? A little mistake like that, there's a chorus of groans. Ball up to Aronson. Aronson, quite a slight figure, even in these days of tight shirts. His white shirt seems to flop around his upper body, but as he tries to take it on, curly-haired Aronson, it runs away from him, and Chelsea have got the ball at the back again. Leeds 0, Chelsea 0. Pat Nevin.
I think what Leeds are trying to do just now is if they can get James in any opportunity. I'm watching this as offside, by the way, so I'll carry on speaking. Havertz went too early. But James is starting on the right hand side quite a lot of the time, but he's bending his run round. Now he's got two things in his favour just now, James. If he finds himself 1-on-1 with Thiago Silva won't be able to stay with him. No chance, not a hope in the world. But also he's against Koulibaly, who's been booked already. If you're James, you want the ball. You want the ball put in there time and again, so you can have a go at both of those players just now. Both very good players, but both have slight problems at the moment.
Leeds 0, Chelsea 0. Still West Ham 0, Brighton 0. If you've just switched on, Bristol City won 2-0 against Cardiff City. You might be leaving that match. You might want to talk to Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton about it later on 606. That is after the Newcastle-Manchester City commentary. Jorginho heading the ball away for Chelsea, and then Gallagher gets up, the blonde hair flopping over the top of the headband, but forward it goes for Chelsea and through to Meslier. Leeds have not beaten Chelsea for 20 years, nearly 20 years. It was late in 2002, 8 meetings since then. This famous old rivalry. Meslier just slips as he plays the ball out and rather slices it, but Christensen was underneath it. And then in the back line, Koch heads it forward to the halfway line. Jorginho's underneath that, and then Robin Koch is able to play it back to goalkeeper Meslier again.
Really impressed by Leeds in the midfield there. They're snapping into the challenges, they're leaving no space whatsoever. And I mean, they're going to have to do that for the entire game, but Adams has really taken the eye early on. He just doesn't give anyone space, does he? Yeah,
impressed. That's the new central midfield partnership, isn't it? In the absence of Calvin Phillips, now of Manchester City, you might be hearing him later when Ian Dennis and James McFadden are commentating on Newcastle and Manchester City, but it is Adams and Roca, the new midfield pair. Meslier clears from inside his penalty area. Cucurella turns it over the top, but that bounces away and back to Cucurella, who plays an immediate ball over the top for Sterling, who's away from Koch. Edge of the area, turns Koch again on his right foot, scores! There it is! But no, the offside flag is up. And not for the first time, Raheem Sterling is denied his first goal for Chelsea.
Yeah, it looked offside to me when they first got the ball. You can always see by the way the assistant referees, they've been taught not to raise a flag but they can't help moving it just that slight little bit. So I knew he was going to put his flag up there, and he was absolutely right about it. Sterling was a good yard or so offside.
Yeah, well, they have told them, the assistant, if you're certain, do raise your flag. And certainly there, I think you're right, Pat. He knew. He knew he was going to lift his flag. But he thought to himself, look, I can't do that if I've got it wrong. That's what they're told. If you're in doubt at all, you're absolutely right. If they're sure, yeah. But if you're in doubt, you've got to let it go. Yeah, and it's one of the top men over there as well, James Mannering, one of the leading, the most expert of assistant referees. But so it is still Leeds United 0, Chelsea 0, and Raheem Sterling's wait goes on for his first competitive goal for the club. Harrison's won the ball back. He's made a bright start to the season. Harrison plays it across field. And immediately putting the curse on him there as he passes the ball behind Rodrigo that runs out of play for 3.
He's made the wrong choice. James had made that run that was explaining before the game, in behind Thiago Silva to the right-hand side between him and the right centre-back. I'm sure he's been told by his manager to go and make that run as often as possible.
Aronson flicks it forward, the ball coming back at Chelsea. Adams now to Roca. Christensen makes himself available on the right-hand side. They sturdily built, short, blonde-haired Danish international, Christensen, and it finds its way back to him on the right-hand side from RB Salzburg, one of those players that Jesse Marsch knows all about. That was very much a theme with his signings this summer. And then Koulibaly is able to come across for Chelsea and put the ball out of play. Very nearly landed it on the roof of the stand. But another ball appears, of course, from one of the little cones around the pitch. Koch plays it in field. Now here's Strauch with his black hair tied up behind his head. Koch playing it out, Strauch playing it out to the left-hand side. Harrison is there. James comes short. Harrison up against 2 Chelsea men. Loftus-Cheek and Mount are there together. And then Leeds through Strauch go back to the halfway line. Still 0-0. Just switched onto us on 5 Live or BBC Sounds if you're on the move, and you might well be on an afternoon like this, as Roca plays the ball down the left looking for Harrison. Loftus-Cheek was able to get there first. James was able to get there first and play it back to Thiago Silva, and then the ball finds its way back to Mendy, who is able to clear it to Cucurella, and then Raheem Sterling back to Conor Gallagher. This is his first start for Chelsea in a competitive match. Cruyff turned from Mendy, the goalkeeper, under pressure. Koulibaly plays it to Gallagher. Gallagher under pressure. Leeds have won the ball back. Good work from Adams. Lovely change of feet. Rodrigo, then to Roca, and then Harrison. Harrison's pass couldn't find James, and the offside flag is up. But I think the referee might allow play to continue with the advantage. No, he's brought it back.
Chelsea will be very disappointed in that. They had a very good position building their Ruben Loftus-Cheek was wide on the right there, but the Leeds fans loved that, didn't they? Because Chelsea tried to play it out to the back. They were under pressure the entire time, and eventually they did win the ball back. And we all know that if you win the ball back high up the field, you've got a much better chance of creating a chance. Leeds already are putting a lot of pressure on Conor Gallagher whenever he's under the ball. Jesse Marsch, anyone in football will know the situation with Gallagher and know that this is a big day for him. And Leeds are giving him no time at all. Just for those who haven't heard, Pat, the story at the start of last season. Yeah, at the start of last season, he was playing for Chelsea against Bournemouth. He only had 45 minutes to impress Thomas Tuchel. Because he had in a friendly. I hadn't seen him before. And Conor didn't have a great time, but he wasn't playing in a position that suited him. Gave the ball away a few times, gave chances away a few times. But he's playing in exactly the same position today. And we shall see if... going forward, he's looking great so far, but it's whether he can do that in a kind of defensive way as well, the way Jorginho does. Yep. Better player now, he has to be, after that experience with Crystal Palace last season and becoming an England international before he'd even played for Chelsea, his parent club. Here's another England international, Mason Mount on the far side. Mount back to Koulibaly, who curls it over the top. He's put far too much on that, and the ball just drops into the gloves of the goalkeeper. Fabregas will struggle to play that ball through his height, and Koulibaly's trying that. But having said that, Koulibaly did score an absolute worldie last week. Yeah. So I suppose he's been given a little bit of leeway to try a few things. Yeah. Leeds 0, Chelsea 0. Still West Ham 0, Brighton 0 in the other 2 o'clock kickoff. I'm sure we'll hear how things have started there before too long. But Leeds have a free kick, centre circle. And Roca and Adams together. They've already caught the eye, those two. Yeah, they look good. I mean, you're right about Phillips. It was a big question mark but at the moment they are definitely not struggling.
Good from Adams again, into the challenge, wins it. Rodrigo shoots across the face of goal. I don't think it particularly troubled Mendy. The goalkeeper knew it was going across him and away and wide, but Rodrigo looking sharp. 3 goals already this season,
and one from an even arguably more acute angle than that. Beat the keeper at the near post, but this time he goes for the back post. I think Mendy had those angles covered there, but a good break again from Leeds.
Going back to Conor Gallagher, Pat, you know, you've seen a few midfielders come and go at Chelsea over the years. Do you think he can make it? I mean, that's a huge question.
We certainly can make it with Chelsea, but you know what he's up against. He would like to play a little bit further forward. He'd like to play in the Mason Mount position, the Sterling position just now. You've got Ziyech there. You've got Pulisic. Havertz can go into that position as well.
Well, Hudson-Odoi is still at the club. He can play that.
So they're not desperate for players in that position. What they are needing is someone in a more defensive position. That's what he's playing to do.
Straight to West Ham. Penalty, Henry Moran.
Penalty to Brighton. Debutant Tino Kehrer bringing down Danny Welbeck close to the edge of the box, but crucially inside the box. And so an opportunity for Alexis McAllister up against Lucas Fabianski, all in yellow. Away to my left, McAllister waits, stares at the ball, angled approach of 4 or 5 paces. Referee Anthony Taylor blows the whistle. Now there's a pause, there's a wait, the tension continues to build. Eventually McAllister, staring at Fabianski, begins the approach and scores. Sends the keeper the wrong way, and West Ham, who have lost both of their opening games this season, are behind again. West Ham 0, Brighton 1.
Good start for Brighton. West Ham still looking for their first point, and it nearly opened up for Chelsea here as Mason Mount found a position inside the penalty area and cut back onto his left foot, and a low shot that was creeping in the bottom corner, but Meslier down to his left was able to push it away wide.
Yeah, it was a brilliant break there. Really set up with the fact that that power of Ruben Loftus-Cheek was able to win the header. Mount just couldn't get enough power on the ball.
So it is the resulting corner that is played in, but Robin Koch was up there to head it away, unchallenged for Leeds, back out towards the far side. So Chelsea start again from the halfway line, but that was a good opening for Mason Mount to get his first goal of the season. Conor Gallagher in the centre circle overhits the pass all the way through, way beyond Mount. Goal kick.
We'd like to say well done by Leeds United just now. Where Chelsea are strongest and where they're most dangerous often, it's down into the left-hand side, the right-hand side, the 2 wing-backs getting forward. I don't think there has been a crossing yet by Cucurella or Reece James, and that is the strongest point that Chelsea have, and that's where they create the vast majority of their goals. So well done Leeds. They've actually stopped that completely by Chelsea so far.
Yes, although in also doing that, they've prevented us from having to have the conversation about how Chelsea have got these brilliant crosses of the ball, but they've got no one in the middle to put them in. But we might come back to that later. Ball's out of play on the halfway line. So Leeds 0, Chelsea 0, Brighton 1-0 up at West Ham. Commentary on Newcastle, Manchester City to come. And we're midway through the first half here in the glorious West Yorkshire sunshine. Throw in down the line, down the left. Mount is onto this now. Mount takes it into the box, tries to stab it across, hits a defender, almost comes back to Mount. Cucurella's in there. Christensen does well, just got his foot to it. Had to time that right, but he did. Put it out for throw.
After seeing how good Leeds were defending, they completely left Mason Mount from a throw-in. They're looking for offside now. You can't be offside from a throw-in. Everybody knows that. And Mason Mount, again, he's breaking into good positions now, isn't he?
He is, yeah. He's easing into the season, Pat, Mason Mount, I think I would say, after his opening performance at Goodison Park. Gallagher now underneath us is turning the ball into Dan James and winning a throw-in. Cucurella to take this. Cucurella with a throw taken down on the thigh of Havertz, and the tall German overhits the pass beyond Cucurella and out for a throw-in to Leeds. Big cheers from the home supporters.
It's a bit of a kind of Sanson moment for Chelsea centre forward Havertz. Since he's had his haircut, he's not looked quite the same, has he? Today he's really struggling to get involved in the match at all, and he's been really well policed by Koch and Llorente at the back. They've done a really good job in him. Well,
there was one or two suggesting that the left wing back should maybe get his hair cut after last week's event, as Dan James plays the ball forward, but under pressure played it straight to Loftus-Cheek, and Thiago Silva has it to Dan James, who's in the centre circle. And then Loftus-Cheek, little strong from Strout, too strong, fouled Loftus-Cheek, caught him in the back of the thigh, I think, or the buttock, with his knee, maybe. That's exactly what's happened. Free kick.
Classic. Now, Loftus-Cheek has a number of talents, but his best talent is rolling players. So if you play the ball up to him, he uses his physique and he rolls players. I think Leeds know all about that. So they just went in, took him out of the play there. So next time he thinks of rolling somebody, I think he may well think twice.
Still waiting to take this free kick, Chelsea. Still waiting. I must hear, we've not actually had the conversation, you and I, have we, about what you made of everything that followed the aftermath of the Romero hair pull on Cucurella and the late admission in the week.
I mean,
from Mike Dean,
I may be living in a different era, but to have a newspaper column and make your decisions there, wow,
interesting, isn't it? Yeah. As Robin Koch does well inside the penalty area, clears it away against Sterling. Cucurella's back onto this, and Cucurella's cross is cleared away by Llorente on the edge of the 6-yard area. Still 0-0 if you just switched onto us here at Elland Road. Gallagher on the left-hand side for Chelsea on his full competitive debut. Gallagher turns, plays it into Adams. The ball bounces behind. I must say, with the naked eye, I thought that was a Chelsea corner, but referee Atwell was seeing it from a different angle and says it's a goal kick.
I think we'd probably had a slightly better angle than him. We get brilliant position here at Elland Road. Gallagher seemed shocked by it, but if in doubt and you don't really know between a corner kick and a goal kick, you know they're always going to give a goal kick, don't you?
And Gallagher, just as he was running with Adams, just gave him a little pat on the head as the two of them were running together. Just a little effort to see if he can put Adams off his game, maybe wind him up. They know all the tricks now, Pat. Mind you, footballers have always known all the tricks, haven't they? Yeah. Here's Thiago Silva, just in stately Thiago Silva fashion, moving across there and taking possession of the ball. And Chelsea switch it to the left-hand side. Still 0-0 here. Brighton 1-0 up through the penalty, the McAllister penalty. Sterling back to the halfway line. What do you think so far? Sterling is
do you know, you mentioned the fact that he's not scored, but he's been one of Chelsea's best players. You know, absolutely, in each game he's played. He's against Everton, he's arguably the best player for Chelsea. He looks so lively. I mean, he's had the ball in the net already today, taking up great positions. He could do with a little bit of help up front.
Yeah, he could. As Gallagher just steps in and plays the ball back to Koulibaly, and here's Gallagher again with his blue Chelsea socks pulled up over his knees, and he's playing the ball to Thiago Silva. Almost played Thiago Silva into trouble there, but he was too sharp for that. Got there ahead of Rodrigo, and Chelsea clear away. So Leeds 0, Chelsea 0. Back to West Ham. Henry Moran.
West Ham 0, Brighton 1, approaching the half-hour mark, and since that penalty from Alexis McAllister, it's actually Brighton that have looked far more likely to double their lead. Leandro Trossard volleying wide just a moment ago. West Ham 0, Brighton 1.
Still 0-0 here, and a throw-in on the halfway line. Thomas Tuchel, best behaviour today, as I suspected he would be. He's not getting involved in anything. In fact, he's been quite a subdued figure, hasn't he? Certainly in contrast to Jesse Marsh down there in his black polo shirt. Like I say, good start to the season. This is just what Jesse Marsh needed, because there were everything that happened last season coming in as the man to replace Marcelo Bielsa. But then they did survive when many thought they might not, with that win, that last day win at Brentford. Christensen playing the ball over the top down the right-hand side, Aronson, but Koulibaly as well. The two of them together, the ball runs away off Koulibaly. It's a corner, first corner to Leeds.
There are gaps in behind that Chelsea back line there. Time and again, just let the ball clipped over the top, and they know they're going to go for it. And it doesn't really seem to matter which of the three up top there for Leeds United. They'll all chase in there, and they're getting little half chances, not exactly clear-cut chances, but half chances now.
Jesse Marsh just called Dan James across there, Pat, while Leeds were sorting themselves out for the corner, and had a word, so there are some instructions. So keep an eye on him just in case there's a change. So Aronson is going to take this from the right-hand side. Here's the delivery for Leeds towards the back post, which is headed up and over and wide by Llorente, I think it was, who got his head to it. Yes, it was. Stretching for it. So no threat to the Chelsea, to the Mendy goal. It remains Leeds 0, Chelsea 0.
It is very interesting. We talked about it before the game with Nedra Manoa and Alan Shearer about that position that Conor Gallagher is playing. And he clearly is a better player going forward. He's clearly a better player in the final third going forward. And I don't think it's a surprise at all that every time he gets the ball, as you mentioned before, that he gets closed in by two players, usually in white, and it could well work out for Leeds.
Chelsea trying to build down the right-hand side. Jorginho and Loftus-Cheek and Mount, but it breaks down, and Leeds come again. So they play from left to right in this first half. Lovely stuff from Leeds. Harrison now centrally curls it over the top. That's for the run of Rodrigo, but he won't get there. Mendy sprints out of his 6-yard box to the right and is able to clutch the bouncing ball and then overarm it out to Cucurella, who plays it back into central defence. Thiago Silva rolls the ball with his right foot for Loftus-Cheek, and the green boots are moving. Mason Mount over there as well, receives it from him, plays it back to James. James was fouled by Rodrigo. He knew he was coming there, James, and cleverly won the free kick because he knew. And Rodrigo has got a lot to say for himself, and Stuart Atwell, I think, is just warning him that he might have talked his way into the referee's notebook, as they say. And now Reece James is just pushing Jack Harrison away.
That strikes me as frustration for Chelsea on that right-hand side. They had such a good time last week. They're getting no space there. I think Strout's done really well. But the two central midfielders we're talking about for Leeds, Taylor Adams and Roca, they're going across and they are working so hard to close the space there. And it is leading to a lot of frustration for Chelsea. So I think Leeds will be very happy with it, as will Marsh.
Yes, Aronson, the Chelsea free kick comes to nothing, and Aronson now over the halfway line, into the centre circle, beyond the centre circle he goes. Rodrigo from the angle shoots, but straight at Mendy. Comfortable save for him. James made ground through the middle, but the shot from the left side of the penalty area straight at the goalkeeper.
That ball was played 3, 4, 5 seconds too late. Had it been played earlier, he was through and goal, and absolutely nobody was going to catch him there. That is maybe the one slight problem Leeds have got just now. They're making the space well. There are gaps in that Chelsea back line, not able to play those balls through with enough intelligence or quick enough so far. And
Loftus-Cheek caught in possession half inside his own half. Leeds can't take advantage with the pass from Harrison. I think it was beyond everyone.
You can actually see there. Look at Reece James just now with Thiago Silva. They're just talking to each other saying, look, this is a bit of a mess back here. There are too many gaps. Thiago Silva just says, you in here, mate. As if to say, come back, I need you 10 yards closer, because there are too many gaps opening up there.
It's exactly that. Thiago Silva, the 37-year-old.
He's doing the same to Koulibaly now.
Yeah.
He's saying to Koulibaly, get closer.
Jabs a finger at the two players either side of him, jabs a finger and then points them closer.
It's getting so clear that he sniffed the problem as well, and it's clear there is a bit of a problem there, so he wants everyone to close up shop for a period of time until Chelsea get a little bit of control again.
Yeah, and Thiago Silva playing the ball back to Mendy, who's delayed. He's lost it. Leeds are going to take the lead. Aronson just rolls it over the line. The goalkeeper caught in possession. Awful error from the usually so reliable Edouard Mendy. Aronson was all over him and just had to wriggle it away and walk it into the net, and Leeds have the lead, and players are piling on top of one another in celebration. Leeds 1, Chelsea 0.
You know, it has been that 5 minutes or so we're talking about, just saying that it's not right in that Chelsea backline. Leeds could sniff it, you could feel it in it. Thiago Silva was saying to his players, get back here, there's a problem here, we're not getting out here. And Leeds knew it, and they closed down there. Having said that, we say Mendy is reliable, but not on the ground. He is not particularly good when the ball's at his feet. It's not the first time that's happened to him, and earlier on in this game he got away with one that he was very lucky to get away with, and I think a lot of teams know that now. He can get caught out, and that's a big goal to lose for Chelsea and for Mendy, and a great one, and you would argue over the last 5 or 10 minutes deserved for Leeds.
Well, as I mentioned, Leeds have not beaten Chelsea for nearly 20 years. Great noise around the place now. That's just what they wanted, to get their noses in front. Goal being scored in the 33rd minute by the 21-year-old American international Brendan Aronson. It's his first goal for Leeds United. He'll remember that for the rest of his life. And now Jorginho is picked up for a foul on Dan James in the centre circle, and Jorginho protests about this. Koulibaly has come across as well.
I think he's given the foul against Koulibaly, hasn't he? He's flown in where he doesn't need to go in there. It doesn't seem to be a huge amount. I don't think it's going to be a second yellow card for Koulibaly, but he thinks he got the ball there. But the referee was very, very close to it.
Chelsea under pressure again. Things not going for them after the way that the goals were conceded last week. Here they've only got themselves to blame.
They have lost control of the game, and they've started very, very well. Sterling was getting on the ball in good areas. In the last 10, minutes or so, they just lost complete control of it, getting close down and aren't getting out.
Leeds 1, Chelsea 0. Chelsea did the double over Leeds last season with all of their troubles going on, but Chelsea with their noses in front. Here is Struijk, the left back as he is at the moment to start this season. He gives it to Harrison on the left-hand side, and Harrison's cross is cleared away by the leaping Thiago Silva with his left foot. Plays it out to the far side. Thing is, Edouard Mendy had actually, do you remember there was a Cruyff turn earlier in the game?
Yeah, I mentioned that.
Yeah.
I think the one where he got away with,
which was not entirely comfortable.
No, it absolutely wasn't. And you watch it regularly, and I think most managers will say, look, put him under pressure, and there's definitely a mistake in him when the ball's at his feet.
Leeds have won the ball back again, but the referee has
a dive, I think that was.
A dive by Roca inside the penalty area, and I think he'd already given the free kick.
Which is an odd one. He's given the free kick beforehand.
On the left-hand side.
Yeah, he's given a yellow card there. I think the referees have been told to do that.
And then Roca dived into the box. And he's given the yellow card.
It's a pointless yellow card there in that case.
That was odd.
It's very odd. I can't ever remember seeing that happen again. However, Leeds get themselves into a good position for a free kick, and how they would love to get a second goal now.
You think? I think so too. Judging by that noise.
Yeah, only because there's never absolute comfort, and that Chelsea have got some very good players that are capable of creating something out of nothing. At the moment, Chelsea for 10 or 15 minutes haven't got out of their own half.
No, I think 30,000 Leeds fans are thinking exactly the same. Get another one now. Right, this free kick then on the left-hand side. Aronson, the goal scorer, and Harrison together. White shirts near the penalty spot. It is Harrison who plays it in. Oh, near post header! It's in! It's Rodrigo! It's 2-0 to Leeds United. They've scored twice in 4 minutes. And Chelsea are right up against it here at Elland Road now. Rodrigo, 3 matches played, 4 goals scored this season. And it's Leeds United 2, Chelsea 0.
He's just tiptoed through the entire defence there. No one marking him at all. And it's a great ball, and it's in a really dangerous area. He's got a lot to do when that ball comes to him, but he's got up and he's just flicked it. I'm trying to think if he actually got the last touch, and whether Reece James was the closest player, and he certainly, when he got close, but he didn't get close enough. So that's 2-0, and you just felt it. And the Leeds fans felt it. You mentioned it just before they scored the goal. And at this moment, Chelsea looked shell-shocked. And the good thing about Leeds is they didn't score a goal then sit back. They scored a goal and then continued, because they knew they could see a weakness at Chelsea's back line.
Leeds United 2, Chelsea 0. Chelsea breaking away down the right-hand side. Now it's Chelsea who would love to get a goal back before half-time. We're in the 38th minute. Loftus-Cheek making good ground, winning a throw-in next to the corner flag. Or did it go out for a corner? I think maybe it did. It bounced this side of the
actually
of the
hit
flag.
the flag. It actually hit the flag. So the assistant referee's right beside it. So he must have thought it hit the flag when it went for a corner.
Well, what an energetic moment that was when that second goal in. Just a little glancing header. What was he, 10 yards out? The delivery from Harrison. That's the 3rd goal that he's created this season. Jack Harrison, this one from a free kick.
It was a great free kick. It really was. Defenders hate that sort of ball.
Leeds United supporters buoyant. Here's the corner. Thiago Silva with a header, but it bounces right across the 6-yard box. It's kept in by Koulibaly. Sterling's after this. Sterling plays it back to Cucurella. Cucurella's ball into the penalty area, straight at James, who controls it. and clears it away downfield. And this crowd, this Leeds United crowd, you would expect, I'd be disappointed if they weren't onto Edouard Mendy. I think any football crowd would, but you certainly don't want the Elland Road crowd against you. But Loftus-Cheek doing well on the right, plays it across the box. Cucurella screws his shot badly wide, arriving, went for the side foot and side-footed it 3 yards wide.
Well, first of all, Chelsea, good reaction there from them. That move I was telling you about Loftus-Cheek, that roll of the player, well, he did it inside the box, so they can't tackle him when he's inside the box. So he rolled down, got to the byline, cut it back. Bit of a shame for Cucurella. It wasn't straight on to his left foot, so he had to adapt to his body. Didn't panic and try and lash it, tried to pass it in. Right thing to do, couldn't get it on target, but a little bit better for Chelsea. And Thomas Tuchel, I mean, at the moment, he'll be absolutely fuming. And I think he'll be wanting to make some major changes if they end up getting in at half-time at 2-0.
Well, I think the widespread expectation was that Leeds would do well to get something out of this game today. Not so. 5 minutes to go to half-time, and Jesse Marsh's team are leading by 2-0. Rodrigo playing the ball over the top from the halfway line, looking for James, but it's headed out to Cucurella, who passes it into space. Conor Gallagher is there. Gallagher eased off the ball by Christensen. He's claimed he was caught by an arm. Not sure there was a great deal in that.
Well, he didn't go and roll about as if he'd been smashed in the face. He stood up and said, look, I was blocked. I was away. The defender couldn't get back. So actually, I'd applaud Conor Gallagher for that.
Yeah, Gallagher takes the free kick. So 2-0 to Leeds United. Last season, with all of their troubles, Leeds lost every game they played here against what you might call the Big Six. I say that because I think Manchester United we consider to be one of the Big Six, but they lost all of those games to those teams here. This season, they're winning handsomely now by 2-0.
And Chelsea have no answers. At the moment, they have no answers. They can't play through the middle because in that central area they're getting closed down, and certainly Jorginho and
Conor Gallagher played it past Roca, and it just played it past them, and then with Roca arriving, the two of them bumped into one another. They've just collided. I think it might well have.
It'll be a free kick, but I don't think either player knew a great deal about that. No, Conor Gallagher just turned into it, and so won.
Yeah, it was. I think Conor Gallagher has taken a knock on maybe his cheek.
Maybe his nose at his cheek.
Yeah, nose, cheek.
Do you know, when the game's played at this pace, and it has been played at an extraordinary pace, particularly in that midfield, there's just no space in there. I mean, you turn round, usually a couple of players are closing you down, putting in a tackle or block, and it's just I mean, there will be a little bit more space in the second half, that will happen. However, at the moment, that is a hard place to get the ball down, get your head up and play a pass. I have to say, I must applaud Leeds United. Every area where Chelsea are strong, usually controlling the game, that midfield to Jorginho, not letting them get on the ball. Usually the wide players like Reece James, obviously Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Cucurella, getting them on the ball, getting crosses in. Ain't happening at all because they've been closed down. Brilliant work rate and great organisation for Leeds so far.
So Leeds 2, Chelsea 0. Roca is having to leave the field. He's rubbing the right top of his head. While he does that, shall we get an update on West Ham Brighton from Henry Moran?
Into the final 3 minutes of the first half. West Ham 0, Brighton 1. A penalty on 21 minutes, the difference between the sides. Since then, Brighton have been far the better. They've looked much more likely to double their lead than West Ham have looked like getting back into this game. Though I say that, an attack on the right-hand side could offer some hope for West Ham as the cross comes in easily into the gloves of keeper Sanchez. West Ham 0, Brighton 1.
Chelsea on the attack down the left-hand side, winning a throw-in. 14 yards back from the corner flag. Cucurella takes it. Half-time approaching. Cucurella gets it back, gives it to Sterling. Lovely. Beats Adams. Koch comes in with a challenge, and the ball bounces away off the Leeds man. It's a corner. Corner to Chelsea from the... this is the first one they've had from the left-hand side. Now, I expected Cucurella was going to come across here and take this, but he's not. It's going to be Mount. I immediately looked to Cucurella. but it's going to be an in-swinger from Mount.
Big moment though, a couple of minutes before half-time.
Need a good delivery for Chelsea. Mount plays it in. Strout was up, the tall Strout, to head it away. Conor Gallagher, who's okay after that knock that he took, and Roca is back on the field as well. James with a cross from the left-hand side. It's headed away to Sterling. Sterling tried to daintily play it through, but Adams intercepted on the edge of the box and volleyed it away to the halfway line. Bright sunshine, glorious conditions, glorious for Leeds United, not so clever for Chelsea, who are facing their first defeat of the new season. Felt they should have won last weekend, felt the world was against them, certainly the officiating. And here they've conceded 1 goal from a goalkeeping error, 1 from a free kick, and now they're trying to force their way back into the game. Throw in, James takes it. Cucurella still trying to get a ball back down near the corner flag. Another ball's appeared from the cone, and plays actually going on with him with his back turned through the middle to Havertz. And then Havertz gets no joy at all out of Koch. And so Leeds to James on the halfway line. James right-footed over the top, but Reece James, that is, heads it away for Chelsea. Mount to the right. Loftus-Cheek now shows too much of it to Strout, who came in, and the ball bounced out of play off the Leeds man Strout for a throw-in to Chelsea down the right in the last minute of the first half. So we'll see Michael Salisbury with his board very shortly down there. I see Jesse Marsh is making some notes rather urgently, and actually one of his staff has just disappeared down the tunnel.
He'll have to keep his notebook out, because the changes that Chelsea will make at half-time is nothing surer. I mean, personnel probably, but even tactically, I'll be amazed if Reece James stays as the right centre-back in the centre-half.
Loftus-Cheek receives the ball on the right-hand side in the court, in the left-back position, gives it to Mount. Mount's there as well. Back to James. James moves in field, and then into Thiago Silva. Chelsea 2-0 down here to Leeds. Koulibaly to Sterling. Sterling beats Adams, but then runs into Aronson. Now Jorginho to the edge of the box to Loftus-Cheek. There's an overlapping run from James, who just got the ball caught underneath his right foot as the foot arrived, and that sent the ball through for a goal kick. And you can hear the reaction from the home supporters in the Don Revie stand.
It kind of sums up Chelsea in the first half, doesn't it? Considering how brilliant and almost telepathic Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Reece James were last week, and now they can't even play a 2-yard pass to each other.
But Leeds are wise to it.
I know, and so they should be. I mean, if they studied that game, they knew that was their strength. That's easy to say. And Jesse Marsh has put a team there that's stopped Chelsea on the right, stopped them on the left, killed their midfield, and caused them problems at the back. That's pretty good organisation.
That's Pat Nevin with us here at Elland Road. Leeds 2, Chelsea 0. Leeds, here's Aronson. He's going to have a go from distance, which he does, but Mendy is able just to move to his right and scoop it up. Shot from about, 22, 23 yards. So Aronson scored the first after Edouard Mendy was caught in possession. How many times do we say that during the course of a season? Well, the goalkeeper was caught in possession, and it led to a goal.
And you know why they do it though, John? I mean, they do it because there's a good reason for doing it, but the keeper has to be good enough to do it.
Koulibaly playing the ball over the top. Mount trying to get a touch on that, but it just ran off his toe and through to goalkeeper Meslier. So Aronson was able to run the ball into the net. There's the half-time whistle. Aronson scoring the opening goal in the 33rd minute. After that Mendy error, and then the second goal from Harrison's free kick on the left, a little glancing header from captain today, Rodrigo. 4 goals now in the 3 matches that he's played this season. I always felt, as the players head towards the tunnel now, you see a little bit, one of the Leeds coaching staff just
wouldn't say Larry.
Yeah, it's just sort of half celebrating to somebody in the stand as the Chelsea players walk past. I'm not sure about that, but Rodrigo, I always felt, Pat, Rafinha played so well and was so important for them last season. Always felt when I watched them together, Rodrigo slightly the second fiddle. Yeah, not anymore.
No, he absolutely isn't. And given the captaincy today, his reaction has been fantastic. In fact, he's been right at the point of closing down all the way up the field. But take nothing away from Leeds at every part of their game, and the energy levels have been fantastic. there has been a little bit more sophistication about the game. You know, sometimes Leeds in the last couple of years, you know, they go and attack with 6-7 players and leave these big gaps at the back. Ain't happening today. They've been absolutely superb in covering all the areas, and the intelligence of the way they've set up their side today has been brilliant. Chelsea have been way below their best, and I don't think their manager's going to be very happy when they get in there, and one or two of them might not come out for the second half.
Well, even though they were both coming unbeaten coming into this match, I would still call this one of the surprise scorelines of this early season. Half-time, Leeds United 2, Chelsea 0.
Yeah, but I suspect no Leeds fans will be celebrating yet, even if one of the members of their coaching staff is. Pat, I think, look, it's half-time and you never know what's going to come, but this Leeds United team and their manager feels like they're proving quite a few people wrong early on in this season. A lot of people thought they were going to struggle. Yeah,
I mean, earlier in the season, you know, he had to survive last season. That's what it was about, nothing else more than that. Didn't matter how he did it, and he did. But this season, he wants to get his imprint on the team. So I was very keen to come along to see how he answered some of the technical questions that were going to be asked of him. That first 45 minutes were brilliant by Jesse Marsh. You know, his players did well. But if you look at that central midfield pairing, the defensive area, Roca and Adams, they have been incredible. They have tackled everything. They have closed down. They'll be... Actually, it was one of those moments you're thinking, I don't know where Adams and Roca is playing, because they seem to be everywhere. No space whatsoever for those Chelsea players there. And also the wide areas. Every time that Loftus-Cheek or James or Corella tries to get up the lines, they're over there. They're closing down the space. They're not giving them half a chance. And then you stick on top of that, the man we were talking about there, Rodrigo, James as well to some degree. Anytime the Chelsea centre-backs get the ball, they're closed down. And of course, the goalkeeper's closed down as well. And that gave them the second goal. So it's panic stations really. I don't know if Chelsea had all noticed it. I tell you, somebody had. Thiago Silva had noticed it before the first goal. He was screaming to get his players closer together. They didn't move quick enough, and by the time they adapted, it was 5 minutes too late and there were 2 goals down.
By the way, Brendan Aronson's a lot of fun, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm looking through the entire team, and you just love it because you're getting that amount of energy. There's no one cruising about, and there's no one even putting in 80%. They're all putting in 100%, and they're utterly fearless. So I suppose it is that thing where Leeds before, we kind of loved the way they played because it was so, they were so positive. They wanted to go. They were so cavalier about everything, and you'd watch them with a big cheesy grin in your face. But there's also a wee bit thinking, but there's a bit of naivety there. Well, they've kept that cavalier spirit, but see that naivety, not seeing it at the moment, and that's what they needed to add.
Pat, John, thank you very much for the time being. Leeds United 2, Chelsea 0, half-time at Ellen Road. So Leeds, great start to the season. Looks like continuing, and the same is true of Brighton at West Ham. Henry Moran.
Yes, boos around the London Stadium as West Ham go into the break trailing by 1-0 thanks to McAllister's penalty midway through the half. The penalty was won by Danny Welbeck. A quick break. Debutant Thilo Kehrer bringing him down just inside the box. They had to check it, but a penalty was given, rolled into the bottom corner. Kehrer has looked a little shaky in a defence that's faced pretty consistent pressure from Brighton since that opener. The home side, meanwhile, they've offered very little. Benrahma's early curled shot wide, as close as they've come. West Ham 0, Brighton 1.
We are going to be at the 100, which is slightly more typical Henry Moran territory very, very shortly. We'll also go to Celtic Park and St James's Park because we're bringing you full commentary of Newcastle, Manchester City at 4:30. We'll get reaction to Bristol City's big win over Cardiff City as well. We will do all of that after the news with Carl Hartley.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Nearly 2,000 dock workers at Felixstowe Port are striking on day one of an 8-day strike in a dispute over pay. The port has described its latest pay offer to dockers as fair. Miles Hubbard is from the Unite Union.
We know that this company has the financial resources many times over to settle this pay claim to everybody's satisfaction. And all we ask is that we get back round the table, as Unite has always been open to, and reach a negotiated settlement so all these folks can go back to work.
It's being reported Boris Johnson has approved funding for a new multi-billion-pound nuclear power plant in Suffolk. It's understood the government will invest £6 billion in Sizewell C, with private funding then making up the rest of the project, expected to cost between 20 and 30 billion pounds. Some supporters of the frontrunner to be the new Tory leader Liz Truss have expressed concern that the decision will limit her economic plan, focusing on tax cuts. Supporters of President Putin have blamed Ukraine for a car bomb that killed the daughter of a prominent Russian nationalist. Daria Dugina, who shared her father's views on creating a new Russian empire, died at the scene in Moscow. It's emerged that officers from the Metropolitan Police had contact with a student nurse on the day she was reported missing last month. The Met says it didn't know Owami Davis was a missing person at the time. The case has been referred to the Independent Office for Police Conduct. And more than 100 members of the Irish community have gathered in London to pay a musical tribute to Thomas O'Halloran, who died after being stabbed to death on his mobility scooter in the capital. The 87-year-old, originally from the Republic of Ireland, was known to busk regularly. A 44-year-old has been charged with his murder. That's the latest. There's more on the BBC News website.
BBC Sounds.
My castaway is the singer and songwriter Adele.
I was like, I just need to do something normal.
Bono.
I've been known as Bono since I was 14, 15 years old.
Kate Moss.
I get comfortable after the first picture.
Well-known faces telling unknown stories. This is excruciatingly embarrassing.
I'm a sad person, and I don't always know why.
It reminds me of every happy moment.
Desert Island Discs with Lauren Laverne. Listen first on BBC Sounds.
More live Premier League football than anyone else.
5 Lives Premier League Sunday
with Steve Crossman.
Big story brewing at Ellen Road. Leeds 2, Chelsea 0, half-time, second half commentary on the way. And it's West Ham 0, Brighton 1, half-time at the London Stadium. Let's bring you up to date away from the football. Already today, we've been reacting to Alexander Usyk's victory over Anthony Joshua. If you hadn't already, then make sure you download the latest 5 Live boxing podcast, All the Reaction with Steve Bunce. Also something to celebrate overnight in combat sports for Britain's Leon Edwards, who becomes only the second ever British UFC champion. He knocked out Nigeria's Kamaru Usman to win the welterweight title at UFC 278 in Salt Lake City.
It's hard to put it into words, you know, and everyone's seen my path and how it went, and I've been saying all week that I believe that was the way it was meant to go, to build me into the man I am today, build my mental toughness. And even though that was one of my worst performances, I did not feel good in there tonight, you know, and I went out there and knocked out the pound for pound. So I said it all week, it wasn't going to be a striker versus wrestler match, you know. It was going to be a mixed martial arts match. And sorry, I lost my voice. Oh, just crying. Yeah, it's going to be a mixed martial arts match. And going into it, I knew it was going to be a tough fight. I said it all week. He is good, you know, but I believe that I was a better man. And even though that was one of my worst performances, it is what it is. Got a clean finish.
He's already said he wants his first title defence to be at Wembley Stadium. On 5 Sports Extra right now, 3:20, I should say, this afternoon, commentary on the 100, a women's and men's double header, Northern Superchargers against Manchester Originals, and Scott Reed is at Headingley.
Yes, the latest double header bringing us to Leeds, with both the men's and women's teams level on points in their respective groups. First up from 3:30, the women's game, with the Superchargers 5th and the Originals 6th, both with 1 win from 3 matches and level on 2 points. England stars Sophie Eccleston and Kate Cross making the trip across the Pennines. Then from 7, it's a turn of the men, with the Originals in 5th and the Superchargers in 6th, and it's 2 wins from 5 for both those sides. Likes of Joss Butler, Andre Russell and Adil Rashid on show later tonight. The weather's great, the ground is filling up, it should be fun. We start at 3:30.
Back to the football already today. Bristol City have made it 2 wins from 2 after beating Cardiff 2-0, 2-2 for Tommy Conway as well, who headed in the opener 4 minutes before half-time. Robert Atkinson got the second. Here is their assistant boss, Curtis Fleming.
We knew it was going to be a really difficult game. We knew it was going to be a hard game. It's a 7-side derby. So first and foremost, you've got to work your socks off. And you've got to show that passion that you do in derby games. And I think we started off like that. And then we got the ball rolling with that, with a great goal from Tommy. And then we stuck in. Ben's made a couple of good saves. We had a couple of good blocks. And maybe didn't take a couple of chances when we had them. But overall, I think the lads give everything. And I think the fans and us will accept that. That has to be a gimme. And you don't get any wins and you don't get any clean sheets without that. So that's the start of everything for us.
Just about to get underway in Scotland. The champions Celtic looking to continue a perfect start to the season. They're hosting Hearts, who are also unbeaten, Roddy Forsyth.
Yes, and the bonus of automatic Champions League group stage qualification is paying for Celtic. Motherwell and Dundee United are already out of Europe. Hearts and Rangers played in midweek, and they'll do so again this week. Rangers looked leggy as they were held to a 2-each draw by Hibs yesterday, and Hearts have made big changes ahead of their return with FC Zurich on Thursday. Ross Stewart replaces Craig Gordon in goal. Mackay, Shanklin, Grant and Devlin dropped to the bench. Halkett is injured. Kingsley also absent with a knock. Celtic are unchanged from their 5-goal romp at Kilmarnock last weekend, and they're unbeaten in 25 home league games against Hearts. Odds on them making it 26.
Celtic have had a perfect start. Manchester City have had a perfect start, of course, in England, and we're bringing you full commentary. Once we're done at Ellen Road, we'll take you to St James's Park for Newcastle versus Manchester City. That's where we find Ian Dennis. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Steve.
This should be some game.
Should be some atmosphere. Obviously, Newcastle yet to concede this season. I think that'll be tested by a Manchester City side. In fact, they are also yet to concede. The only two in the Premier League who've done that. But given the fact that last season City won 4-0 here and then 5-0 at the Etihad in May, and Eddie Howe's got a dreadful record against Newcastle United. If they can get anything from the match, then that'll be obviously a huge bonus for Newcastle United.
And, you know, we were talking to Alan Shearer about this already. Newcastle fans will be desperately hoping it's not the last they see of Bruno Guimaraes, because Real Madrid seem like they are waiting in the wings, and that's a reflection of what a good signing he's been, I suppose. He's been
an excellent signing, yeah, and I don't think there's any intention from Newcastle United to sell. I would think that Eddie Howe, if anything, is looking to add to his squad before the 1st of September, which is deadline day. But he had a very good game here against Nottingham Forest. Obviously contributed a number of goals last season. His best scoring season of his career, actually, with 5. So since his arrival from Lyon, he's done very, very well. And they'll need to have a good game with him today. How Newcastle set up defensively will be interesting when the team news is announced. Do they go with still persist with a flat back 4, or do they switch to the back 3? We'll wait and see.
City look absolutely frightening, don't they?
Sorry, with the tannoy in the background, I lost that question.
I've tried to be so deliberate as well. Look, City look frightening, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And I heard you talking with Nedum earlier. And Nedum was actually sat behind me for the Community Shield, because Liverpool that day looked so sharp, and Manchester City did look a little bit off the pace. And it was interesting because I think they'd only had 2 pre-season games in comparison to Liverpool, who played about 6 or 7. And yet since the season has started, Manchester City have just clicked. And they say, in fact, that next weekend, they should have been, next midweek rather, should have been the last free midweek before the World Cup for Manchester City. But they're actually playing in a charity game in Barcelona. So between now and the World Cup, Manchester City and the rest of the teams in Europe will not have free midweeks. And so how that impacts Manchester City, but at the moment, Pep Guardiola has got them ticking, as he so often seems to do.
And Ian, I bet you were delighted to hear that Alan was in studio here, because if he's here, he can't be there throwing sweets at you.
Funny enough, somebody from the club said to me, "Where are you sitting? You're within range." Because he sits in the director's box, and when I was doing it last time, I was on the gantry, and I was certainly within range of Mr. Shearer. I think it was a refresher chew that he threw, and it caught me on the back of the head. So he'll need to have a good arm to strike me today.
Yeah, anything under 35 yards and you're in danger. Ian, thank you very much. Ian Dennis will have James McFadden alongside him for full commentary from St James's Park. It is going to sound absolutely fantastic. Newcastle versus Manchester City. It'll have to go some to sound better than Ellen Road. What an unbelievable first half for Leeds United, who lead Chelsea by 2-0. Thomas Tuchel is just retaking his seat. So let's rejoin Pat Nevin and John Murray.
Yes, you're right, Steve. Terrific noise, wasn't it, in the first half? Yes, Thomas Tuchel in his baseball cap of Chelsea blue is just climbing down into the dugout. But Pat Nevin, no changes. for Chelsea?
Not that I can see just now.
No changes of personnel.
Yes, I'm going to have a very, very strong look at...
There we are. Leeds get us underway in the second half.
They might actually go to back four, Chelsea. I'm just looking at them there. And it'll be Cucurella, James right back, two centre-backs.
Yeah, that is Loftus-Cheek, who currently is quite central. Plays the ball back to Thiago Silva, who knocks it square to Koulibaly.
That is, by the way, that might not sound like a lot, but you know, the fact that they were struggling with three centre-backs and they've now only got two, one of whom is booked and the other one who is wonderful but rather not the quickest player in the world, that will certainly interest one or two of the Leeds players going forward.
It does look, Pat, doesn't it, as though Loftus-Cheek is going to play alongside Jorginho centrally, and then Conor Gallagher and Mount further forward.
Yeah, and you think Mount, Conor Gallagher behind Sterling and Havertz, so it's, you could almost look at it as a 4-2-2-2.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Leeds 2, Chelsea 0 in the glorious sunshine. Glorious day for Leeds United. 2 goals in the first half, 2 goals in 4 minutes from Aronson after Edouard Mendy's mistake, and Rodrigo with a glancing header. The captain today, Leeds, captained by Rodrigo, with Meslier in goal. Christensen, Koch, Llorente and Strout, the back four again, as it has been throughout the season so far, the early days of this season. Adams and Roca in the middle, and then James was mainly on the right, Harrison on the left, and Aronson playing behind Rodrigo, who is furthest forward most of the time, and the crowd are getting onto Mendy after his error in the first half. Thiago Silva then hits a long right-footed ball looking for Sterling, but Christensen was underneath that. It was a sort of diagonal ball, but the right back, the Leeds right back, was able to head it away. And then Conor Gallagher might have been caught from behind in an aerial challenge. Cucurella plays it back to Mount. Mount towards the left, thought about the cross. Mount then plays it to Cucurella down the line. Cucurella's deep cross, looking for James. James arriving on the far side of the penalty area, but Leeds have got lots of bodies in there, and James has to go back to Loftus-Cheek, who is under pressure. Oh, he's come out of it with the ball. Brilliant play, Loftus-Cheek. And then Gallagher back to Loftus-Cheek, who angles it across. Mount in with the chances, back to goal, gives it to Cucurella onto his right foot, who shoots then wildly wide and high into the Norman Hunter stand.
Yeah, he wanted to hit it with his left foot, but he was closed down, and that is exactly what Leeds have been really good at. Closing down, no space whatsoever, takes on his right foot, he's still being closed down again, and then it slashes really wide. But a bit of an injury, it's a really bad fall there, right in the centre of the midfield there. It's Tyler Adams who went down, but he's got himself up again. Looks okay after, well, considering the amount of effort he put into that first half. He's allowed a little rest.
That's Pat Nevin with us, Scotland international, former Chelsea man, twice Chelsea Player of the Year. Leeds coming forward. I have a feeling that it's going to be eyes right for most of this second half for us, but we might be wrong. Leeds attacking to our left towards the Don Revie stand. That's what they're doing now, and it's James who gets his head down. Dan James, the Welsh international, turns back. Chelsea in front of him. Strout, and then back it goes to Aronson. The crowd warn Roca that Havertz is coming. Havertz has been very quiet, made a quiet start to the season, I'd say. And here's Aronson now. Aronson, scorer of the opening goal, back to the halfway line where Llorente plays a crossfield pass. Christensen heads it forward. Rodrigo might have been offside. Shoots, comes off Koulibaly, bounces behind. It's a corner, onside.
And there will be chances, I think, because you've got just two centre-backs here. Leeds have done very, very well breaking from those midfield areas. It wasn't a clear-cut chance, and Koulibaly got across well, but there'll be more spaces in that Chelsea back line, which is slightly worrying for Chelsea fans, because there was plenty of spaces in the first half.
Hundreds and hundreds of bare arms above heads over there applauding as Aronson goes across to join Harrison, the two of them together. They've got their hands over their mouths in discussion, just in case someone, God forbid, lip reads what they're saying as they're about to take a corner. That would be like breaking the Official Secrets Act. Harrison is going to take it, swings it into the near post, comes off Havertz's head, bounces high off his head, hasn't cleared the box. Thiago Silva gets his head to it, still in the Chelsea area, headed back. Llorente's still up there in the area. He runs it out into the right back position, takes on James, and James turns, got his hands into Llorente, passes it forward to Sterling. Chelsea are on the counter attack here. Havertz is available in the middle, defenders coming back. Sterling running at Adams, gives it to Mount. Mount's shot hits the back of Harrison and bounces away to Cucurella. And Cucurella, as Chelsea now in the blue are all over the white of Leeds. Sterling left side of the penalty area, did have the ball in the net in the first half again for Chelsea, but once again it was ruled out, and Cucurella goes sprawling down, and referee Atwell says the offside flag was up, and it's a free kick to Leeds United, and more home cheers.
Again, it was a bit trend to get the start of this second half. Good attack by Leeds before they get a corner kick, but that break from Chelsea. Sterling, he was slowed down just about enough by Tyler Adams. That was enough to allow his teammates to get back there, and any half chance Chelsea had was snuffed out.
So Leeds in the all white kit playing against Chelsea in the all blue today. White numbers on the back. Koulibaly playing it through the middle to Mount. Mount now more centrally in this match. Mount playing the ball to Cucurella on the left-hand side. Thomas Tuchel's made these tactical tweaks. Didn't make any substitutions, just changed the system. Jorginho back to Cucurella. Low ball right across the edge of the box. Loftus-Cheek's low shot. It's deflected into the path of Gallagher, who shoots, blocked by the goalkeeper. But the offside flag was up against Conor Gallagher, who must have thought that it was opening up for his first Chelsea goal, but the flag would have ruled it out anyway.
He would have done, but he's getting himself forward. This is where Conor Gallagher's better. Balls come through. There was no way in a month of Sundays that he was offside, but Sterling was, and the ball had come off him.
Leeds 2, Chelsea 0. Celtic and Hearts are underway in Glasgow. Celtic 0, Hearts 0. That's in the early stages. 3 o'clock kickoff there. We'll keep you updated on that, and it's still West Ham 0, Brighton 1 in the other 2 o'clock kickoff in the Premier League. We'll be able to talk about it all later with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton on 606, hashtag BBC 606. If you want to get involved in social media, you can read all about it on the BBC Sport website and app. The day's football, you can watch the highlights. Match of the day 2 tonight. Alan Shearer's on with Mark Chapman, and of course via BBC Sounds you can rewind the live radio, so if you're a Leeds fan you can listen to it all night. Here's James taking the ball forward. He was blocked. It's a free kick forward and right of the centre circle, and Leeds now in this situation leading by 2-0, of course are in no hurry at all. Just a blatant block pat by Cucurella.
It was a block, but Chelsea had got themselves in a bad position there. Ruben Loftus-Cheek had tried that move I've been mentioning all game. Leeds are wise to it. They just blocked him because it's in the midfield there, won the ball, and that was Chelsea in danger again.
2-0, Leeds lead. Here's Adams in with Mount centrally. Ball bounces away off the two of them out towards the right-hand side to Christensen. And then James stabs it forward, but it bounces away from Aronson, and Chelsea have got it back inside their own half. The ball is played across the penalty area from Koulibaly to Mendy, who just puts his right foot through it and passes it high out towards Cucurella on the left-hand side.
I think he's decided to give up on the Cruyff moves.
Cruyff is off the menu for the Chelsea goalkeeper. Thiago Silva just teases a pass out to the right-hand side. Cucurella backs away to the white line on the far side, allows it to hit his body. This is quite static from Chelsea though. Jorginho, crossfield pass to James. Now James gets his head down, heads down the right wing. Conor Gallagher with the cross, that comes off the Leeds man Llorente and bounces out of play in the end for a throw to Chelsea halfway inside the Leeds half. 2-0 to the home side. And James holding the ball above his head, looking for movement. Loftus-Cheek is there with the stretch. I mean, Chelsea, as the ball bounces out of play, well, that comes to nothing. After the throw-in, James and Loftus-Cheek have a chat together. The substitutes that Thomas Tuchel could turn to here. So on the bench today, as well as Kepa, Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi, Ziyech, Chukwuemeka is on the bench for the first time, the recent arrival from Aston Villa. Ethan Ampadu is there as well for the first time this season. as Leeds break forward. Aronson now receives it from Christensen. Aronson looking for the run of Christensen, tried to find him, but chipped it straight into Thiago Silva and then pushed over Jorginho. So it's a free kick to Chelsea on the edge of their own box.
Yeah, once again, a brilliant run from Rodrigo there, straight through the centre of the D in the 18-yard line there. Had to manage to get the ball through to him. He was one-on-one with Mendy once again. Again, there's chances there. There's half little spaces and half little gaps. I suspect the scoring isn't over in this game.
No, I was just going to say to you, Pat, that's what makes this fascinating here. 2-0 to Leeds United, but you can tell everyone knows it. The next goal, absolutely so important in this match. And Chelsea probing away. Cucurella, Thomas Tuchel's tried to do his thing, making those changes. The tactical changes, but it breaks down and Leeds break forward, and this is the thing. Leeds now, Dan James, they're saying get it into the box, which he does, and it's kneed wide by the arriving Harrison. Rodrigo and Harrison were in there together. It's actually, did it come off a defender? Yeah. It did in the end. It's a corner.
Again, every time they attack Leeds, they know that there's gaps there, they know that they can create chances. And that back line's having to be very intelligent at Chelsea, because they know they haven't got the pace. They know they can't take any chances of creating fouls, particularly Physicality, who's already on a yellow card. And you get a feeling Leeds can smell blood. That's what it is just now. They know if they get the next goal, they almost certainly will get not only 3 goals but 3 points.
Here's Aronson and Harrison involved in those discussions again, behind the hands. What have you spotted, Pat?
Now, just watching Jorginho, there's 2 Chelsea players marking 4 Leeds players that are in the box. He was looking for some help there, but that's the way it goes when you're zonally marking.
It's going to be Aronson to take this one towards the back post. It's headed away by Loftus-Cheek, comes out to Sterling on the edge of the box. Koch very nearly got there. Adams hits the shot from 25 yards. That's blocked on the edge of the area, bounces to Gallagher, but Gallagher's passed downfield looking for the run of Havertz. Meslier was quickly out of his penalty area, got there comfortably.
Well, I mean, I know it's an easy thing to say, but had that not been Gallagher and had that been De Bruyne, Havertz would have got that ball and he'd been one-on-one with a goalkeeper. Great chance for Chelsea to get away there, and they never took it.
Yeah, but not everyone's Kevin De Bruyne, are they? Here is Mason Mount now cutting in from the left-hand side, gives it square to Loftus-Cheek. Loftus-Cheek turns, passes the ball out to James. James angles it back. Gallagher turns his man in the box. Left foot shot deflected, which took it wide. It went dribbling wide after that deflection. It was on target, but the deflection took it wide. It's a corner to Chelsea from the left. But before that, here's Roddy Forsyth in Glasgow, because
Celtic are leading by a goal to nil. Maeda crossing onto the 6-yard line, and there was, yes, it of course would be Kyogo Furuhashi to side-foot it into the net. Celtic 1, Hearts 0.
Here's the Chelsea corner, which is headed away for Leeds near the penalty spot. Comes out to Gallagher. Conor Gallagher selected today alongside Jorginho, but now being pushed further forward at half-time on his first start for Chelsea. Ball played into the middle. Havertz tried to get that down, but Christensen was in there and was able to stab it away out of play down the right-hand side for a throw-in to Chelsea. We'll be going to West Ham Brighton in a moment or two again. Brighton winning 1-0. But Chelsea take the throw, putting pressure on Leeds. Loftus-Cheek, though, goes back to the halfway line, and Thiago Silva in the shadows cast by the John Charles stand. It's where we're sitting, high up in the gantry. Now back into the sunshine. And then Koulibaly, little ball forward. Sterling's after this. Sterling got there, just touches it out to the left-hand side. Cucurella's now onto the ball for Chelsea. And then the ball is played in by Mount crossfield, but that is cut out by Harrison. And Leeds into Chelsea territory, but Loftus-Cheek on the chase, and Harrison's done well. He's beaten Loftus-Cheek and James after going to ground initially, and then Harrison plays it infield to Dan James, and now Rodrigo just outside the box. Got rather caught up underneath him, but Leeds are still in possession with over half an hour still to play of this match. Adams through to Aronson, and then Tyler Adams to Christensen, the right back. Aronson makes himself available, and Leeds knocking it around now inside the Chelsea half, trying to frustrate the visitors, the team that finished 3rd in the Premier League last season. Chelsea not won the title since Antonio Conte in 2017. This could be their first defeat of the season. Leeds now building on the left-hand side and winning themselves a throw-in, and I think we're going to see the first change. No, not yet. Leeds take the throw. Strout to Harrison into the full-back position. Harrison with a backheel flick, but Thiago Silva read that and clears it away downfield. And then Havertz beats Llorente, but still 10 yards inside his own territory. He's got a long way to go. Havertz now into the Leeds half, turns it infield. Mount takes it on near the edge of the box now. Sterling with a back heel into the path of Cucurella. Cucurella's left-footed cross is over the top of Havertz and runs away down into the left-back position. Conor Gallagher, though, is onto this. Ball stationary at his feet. Strout with a challenge, bounces out for a throw.
Yeah, and again, Leeds, they know how to just close things down. That was a really quick break by Chelsea, but the speed, once again, it was Tyler Adams. He's over there, he's slowed them down, and they had absolutely nowhere to go. Brilliant defending.
While Leeds bring on Forshaw for Rocker in the midfield, Henry Moran will update us from West Ham.
Just approaching the hour mark, still West Ham 0, Brighton 1, but so much better from the home side in this second half. Cresswell's had a half volley blocked inside the box. Fornell's drive straight at Sanchez. Just warning shots to Brighton that West Ham are starting to build into this game. West Ham 0, Brighton 1.
And as we heard from Roddy Forsyth, Celtic leading 1-0 against Hearts through that Furuhashi goal. Earlier, Bristol City 2-0 winners against Cardiff City. Cricket continues on Sports Extra. Premier League football on 5 Live. On this 5 Live Premier League Sunday, live from Elland Road, St James's Park, the next venue for Newcastle against Manchester City. But Leeds 2-0 up. Chelsea with the ball inside the Leeds half, though. Loftus-Cheek now down to the right to James. James stretch, gets the ball under control, plays it into the near post where Robin Koch, a falling Robin Koch, puts it wide of his near post and behind.
Well, I'm not understanding why that's not a corner kick. There must have been an offside. The ball was...
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
James on the race. Very close.
I'm not convinced that the assistant referee's got that right.
I'm not sure it was. But anyway, that's given us a free kick. VAR can't get involved in that.
Yeah.
So Leeds 2, Chelsea 0 the score. And it is fascinatingly poised. Leeds United, who have not won in their last 8 meetings with Chelsea. Last time Leeds beat Chelsea, James Milner was among the scorers. But the remarkable thing about that is it was 20 years ago, and Milner's still playing, as we know. Be involved tomorrow night, likely. You'll hear coverage of that during the Monday Night Club on 5 Live. Manchester United, Liverpool. Here's Sterling on the left-hand side. Sterling plays it infield, and the ball bounces out of play for a throw to Chelsea on the left. Yeah, mixture of live football this coming midweek on 5 Live Sport. We've got commentary from the League Cup, Fleetwood, Everton on Tuesday night, plus coverage of all of the midweek games. And then the second leg of Rangers game, their tie against PSV. You'll hear that live from the Netherlands on Wednesday night. And then the Champions League draw, Chelsea will be involved in that. It's tea time on Thursday. So you'll hear good coverage of that because it's in Drive on Thursday afternoon from 4 o'clock onwards. Leeds 2, Chelsea 0 in the Premier League, though. And it's going to be Pulisic, Pat. In fact, it's going to be a double change. Ziyech and Pulisic will come on.
I was slightly surprised that he didn't make changes at half-time, but I think he wanted to see how this system worked out. He wanted to put Sterling up alongside Havertz. To be fair, they're playing as double strikers just now. I'm not convinced they've passed the ball to each other yet. And if you're playing as double strikers, you need to work off each other, and it just ain't happening.
There's been no sign of that.
Nothing.
So Pulisic coming on for Conor Gallagher. There was a little bit of talk that Leeds might be a possible destination for Conor Gallagher, but you know, he as I said earlier, he wants to make it work at Chelsea. This was his third competitive appearance, his first start. Jorginho is replaced by Ziyech.
That's right. 2 centre midfielders.
Come on then, Pat. Tell me what's going on there.
I would say he'll go for a diamond. So put Ruben Loftus-Cheek at the back of that diamond. Pulisic one side, Ziyech the other side. I'm kind of guessing that just now. It's very difficult to see what he can do there, but it would appear that Ruben Loftus-Cheek is a single sitting defensive midfielder.
Bold.
Yeah, but I mean, he's just went 4-2-2-2. So it's basically, you wonder if he's just throwing things and hoping something sticks at the moment. You know, this is the third system maybe of the game so far. So far, none have really worked really well.
No, they haven't. Leeds 2, Chelsea 0. Chelsea facing their first defeat of the season, but that's a low shot from James from 22 yards from the angle. Carried the ball on. hit it low, and Meslier went down to his right, had a good sight of it, as Jimmy Armfield, who I sat here many times with, he would have said I was right behind that, and it was pushed round and wide for a corner.
Yes, it was a good shot there, and certainly Reece James coming more into the game now, and that's the one change that has worked, him moving up.
Chelsea corner, this is deep, Koulibaly is after it, heads it goalwards, but it's caught by Meslier, got no real power on that, and the Leeds goalkeeper was able to stretch up to his left and catch it.
I can understand why Koulibaly's gone for goal there, but there's no chance of scoring from that angle. There's a bunch of Chelsea players back in the 6-yard line. He's got to put that across there with our Chelsea players and attack it.
So now things have shaken up with the substitutes coming on. Certainly Pulisic on the right hand side. Ziyech seems quite central, but Leeds breaking away down the right with Dan James, but Koulibaly blocked the shot through himself, sliding in front of it, out for a throw to Leeds.
Well, that's the diamond you're talking about, so the four at the back, the base of the diamond's left cheek. Either side you've got Pulisic and Mount. The front of the diamond you're going to have Ziyech. That's the position he prefers to play in, and two strikers up front.
Yeah, and of course quite a lot of talk about Pulisic and Ziyech perhaps moving away from Chelsea, perhaps on loan during the course of this month. Leeds take the throw into the penalty area, and it bounces away off James and behind for a goal kick.
It's interesting listening to Thomas Tuchel talk, and he feels this is a transitional season, and he's been here a year and a half. He's won the Champions League, but he still feels this is a massive transitional season.
Yeah, but I mean the changeover with the squad is quite significant now, with, it seems, more to come. And as you've said, you've kept on saying it, Pat, and clearly this talk of Fofana continues after he sat out the game yesterday, but after what happened to Chelsea in the first half.
Well, the problem they had is to put Reece James as one of the most important players going forward. They had him stuck at right centre-back. Leeds done their homework. He never got forward in the first half, and it stopped Chelsea being creative on the whole side of the pitch. Now he's had to adapt that and change that, and Reece James can get a little bit further forward now. You don't have that problem if you've got another centre-back.
Well played by Rodrigo. That's great relief for Leeds. He was able to take the ball downfield and win a corner off Thiago Silva. So it's a corner for Leeds on the left-hand side. This two-man situation again. Harrison and Aronson. Aronson runs over it. It's going to be Harrison this time to the near post, headed away by Havertz for Chelsea. Sterling, but Chelsea have got everyone back. Sterling plays it beyond Adams and then goes down, and the referee's having none of that, and Leeds have got possession back. Another goal at West Ham, Henry Moran.
West Ham 0, Brighton 2. It's a wonderful breakaway goal. Pascal Gross with the flick around the corner. There was Trossard breaking forward to slot the ball past Fabianski. West Ham 0, Brighton 2.
Will be a really good start to the season for Brighton if they hang on to that. And West Ham still without a point. 2-0 to Leeds. Here come Chelsea though. James, there's the offside flag against Reece James again, just mistiming his run in the opinion of the assistant down there, so it's a free kick to Leeds deep inside their own half, and we are now, Pat, into the last quarter of the match.
It's a real surprise that James rarely ever times that wrong. Yeah, again, it was very, very tight, hard to see, but the assistant's down there right beside it. But you can't say this second half, Chelsea 2-0 down at half time, you thought there would be wave after wave after wave of attack. It's never materialised, has it?
No,
nowhere near it.
But one goal for Chelsea, and it's Izzy Wizzy, let's get busy, as Sooty and Sweep used to say, because that was the subject of fact of the day on Drive on Friday. Sooty and Sweep. Here's Rodrigo playing it forward to Dan James down the left-hand side. He's in the full-back position. Cross from James, right-footed. Oh, it's bounced in! It's there! Harrison stretched and put it in. Rodrigo with the initial touch. Whether Harrison was offside, there's no flag. It's a third goal for Leeds United. Surely they're on the way to the 3 points against Chelsea. Leeds 3, Chelsea 0.
Well, he did say there were spaces at that back line at Chelsea there, and they were shown. They had no one covering it at all. Like yourself, I thought for a moment there it might have been offside, but I'm feeling that Thiago Silva was maybe sitting a little bit deep in the far side. We will certainly have a look at it again, but when the ball's played down there, Chelsea running backwards again. Leeds have been rampant the whole way through this time. The ball is played down, and Thiago Silva is at the back post playing the defence on.
I think Cucurella. Yeah, I think it was Cucurella who played him on, but it was James with the cross from near the dead ball line. And after Rodrigo got a touch, stretching for it, it fell very nicely into the path of the stretching Harrison with his left foot, just in the 6-yard box, 3 or 4 yards out, planted it into the net. And it's 3-0 to Leeds. Well, it was 3-0 to Chelsea at the end of last season. But Leeds are transformed, and who was expecting this under Jesse Marsh this season? Who?
No, they've been absolutely magnificent. Certainly, you don't like picking players out, but we have to various times. Tyler Adam's been absolutely astounding in this game. He's been brilliant. But every single player, from Rodrigo backwards, his chased, his harried. They just look livelier from start to finish. They're opposite number every position in this game so far against Chelsea.
Jesse Marsh.
Ragged.
Sorry, Pat. Jesse Marsh, having seen his team establish this 3-0 lead now, which surely must see them on the way to victory, you would think, has brought on another of his summer signings, Luis Sinisterra, the Colombian international, for a home debut. He comes on for Dan James, who is involved in the third goal. And here he is, Sinisterra on the left-hand side. Sinisterra, who was signed from Feyenoord for around about £21 million. Turns, plays it back centrally, and Adams is fouled, and it's a free kick to Leeds United. Another youngster, another winger, 23 years old.
Yeah, they like the wingers around here, don't they?
They do.
They really do. And
how many wingers have we got on the field? When you look at it, on both teams. Yeah. Here is Strout playing it back centrally. Forshaw slipping it through the middle. Not another one for Leeds, surely. Harrison plays it across, and Rodrigo sliding in with Cucurella. It looped up over the top of the crossbar. They want a corner, Leeds, but it's a goal kick.
You can see why Chelsea don't like playing with the back four. You know, the two centre-backs in there. I mean, Leeds, again, it goes back to, before Jesse Marsh's time. When they get up the field, they pile forward, and the numbers they get into the box and their willingness to get from midfield into the box is superb to watch. And this is a Leeds team that are 3-0 up against what seemed to be a top team, and they want 4. They don't want to sit on and just hold on for 3-0. They want another one.
Well, this is reminiscent, isn't it, of their first season back in the Premier League now. And so the scenes inside Elland Road. Looking around the place, they are absolutely bouncing in their summer shirts. Lots of Leeds United replicas, of course, either white or the new yellow kit, all around the place. They are bouncing behind the goal. To our right, the Norman Hunter stand, and of course in the Revy stand. 3-0 against Chelsea. First win against Chelsea for 20 years. And the ball played over the top for Harrison, the most recent man to get on the score sheet, who loses out to James, and then Mendy chips it past Harrison to Reece James. And now on the right-hand side, Pulisic's being forced all the way back to goalkeeper Mendy again, and of course Aronson's going to close him down, puts his foot on the ball, chips it away to the far side.
Brilliant. That's brilliant harrying, isn't it? It's fantastic. At this point in the game, it's a hot day out there with 3-0 up, and they are not switching off. It's really brilliant pressing there.
Really, this is now absolutely back to those exciting early days back in the Premier League under Marcelo Bielsa. They might be singing Jesse Marsh's name soon, Pat.
There was a few not exactly delighted when he was announced as a manager, but at the moment, he's got that team working incredibly hard for him.
And here they go with the ball played forward for the run of Aronson, but it runs away from him and out of play for a throw-in to Chelsea, halfway inside their own half. Brilliant noise inside the place. You certainly wouldn't be able to hear Sooty speak in here. I wouldn't have thought so. The subject of this week's Fact of the Day with Tony Livesey every Friday afternoon. Our little commentators competition. The commentators have got all of them right so far, but I suspect that won't continue. It's every Friday on Drive, round about 5:30. Leeds 3, Chelsea 0. Comprehensively Leeds day. And clearly to Thomas Tuchel after this, there's going to be a lot of questions about what Fofana would bring to Chelsea. And Leicester City might be sitting there thinking, that transfer fee that we were discussing?
Oh yes, it's just gone up 10 million. I don't think Chelsea can do anything about it. They need to get more certainly more numbers in there. Once again, Chelsea harried in the midfield, losing the ball. It almost looks at times like Leeds have got an extra player in there.
Yeah, Christensen now, after Pulisic lost possession centre field. Here's another one for Aronson to chase. He's another one who's caught the eye. Aronson opened the scoring, but loses out to Koulibaly. And then Mount plays it to Loftus-Cheek. And Loftus-Cheek now in this central role, moved away from the right wing back, gives it to Reece James on the right hand side. James cuts inside Harrison. Then Loftus-Cheek again, right footed ball, high pass with the top of his right boot to Cucurella. Cucurella infield towards Mason Mount. Mount high pass back out towards James on the right hand side, cushioned header infield. And then Ziyech to Sterling. Ziyech again. Mount tees it up, shoots right footed, but into the backside of Christensen. And the Leeds man sees it rebound to the newly arrived Sinisterra. Cucurella, though, as Chelsea take up possession again. Ziyech with the cross, and a crucial header in the middle to get that away from Strauch under pressure from Pulisic. And he's done well there. That was... he knew that he was coming, Pulisic. He got his head to it, got the clearance, and then was clattered from behind.
Yeah, Pulisic has to go for that. Any centre forward, that's the job. You have to go to that. I actually suspect he's going to be perfectly fine there. Strike. He's had a few hits today, hasn't he? Something personal against him and Chelsea, but one of the problems is Chelsea haven't got close enough to most of the Leeds players for the vast majority of this game. Just a moment ago, you know, Sinisterra's come on, and he was a little bit slack with the ball. It's almost the first time in this entire game that I've felt that about a Leeds United player, which again tells you something about the manager, what he's done. He's got them all up, he's got them fit, he's got them all willing to do everything they possibly can, and right at the moment they look, dare I say it, very comfortable.
Certainly do. On the way to victory, Leeds United.
It doesn't seem, when you look at the Chelsea players there, there's nowhere near the fight, there's nowhere near the hunger that the Leeds United players have shown today. Now, a lot of that comes from the 2 goals that Leeds scored in that short period of time, knocked the stuffing out of Chelsea. That may be a reason, but it ain't an excuse. You need to keep on fighting all the way to the end, and you compare that to the work rate and the harrying that Chelsea as a team did last week against Spurs, and then watch it this week. This is closer to their game against Everton.
But here the missing ingredient in N'Golo Kante.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, there's no doubt about the fact that Kante makes a difference. Kovacic is a big miss for them as well, massive miss for them. And another change has been made. I think they might actually go back to 3 at the back again, Chelsea, because Chilwell will come on.
Mason Mount is withdrawn. Not been at his best so far this season.
I thought he played well against Spurs. I think the energy levels were there, and he had a brilliant link-up play with Cucurella against Spurs. But both of them, I thought that was a really intriguing partnership. Very, very little between them today. Very little indeed.
Well, we're going to have a look at Cucurella in this left-sided central defensive position then. So Ben Chilwell is on to play as the left wing back. All the while, by the way, Strauch has been receiving treatment. So they've been very, very careful with him. But he's on his feet and he's being led off the field. In fact, he's trotting off the field and he's walking back, and he's suggesting that he is ready to come back onto the field. So Leeds 3-0 up on Chelsea here. Still West Ham 0, Brighton 2, still Celtic 1, Hearts 0. Commentary on Newcastle, Manchester City to come. We're going to go and get the team news from there shortly, but Chelsea are trying to vainly make some impact here on this 3-0 scoreline. They're on the wrong end of it. Leeds win it back. Harrison tried to put it through the middle, but Thiago Silva intercepted that. Chelsea forward towards Havertz on the right hand side. Havertz goes down very easily, just minimal contact from Strauch. There was contact. It's a free kick. So while Chelsea organise themselves, here's Ian Dennis on Tyneside with the team news.
Newcastle United are unchanged. As for Manchester City, they make 2 changes. Stones makes his first start for Ruben Dias, who's on the bench. Bernardo Silva replaces Mahrez. Grealish isn't involved. The new signing Sergio Gomez is amongst the substitutes.
Thank you, Ian. So commentary from 4:30, 6:06 after that with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. James McFadden's going to be alongside Ian Dennis. And the latest from West Ham Brighton from Henry Moran.
12 minutes left. West Ham 0, Brighton 2. Brighton should be 3 ahead as well. Solly March at the back post with a header that went over the bar when it looked easier to score, but he has put it over. West Ham offering very little. West Ham 0, Brighton 2.
And from London to Glasgow and Roddy Forsyth.
Celtic 1, Hearts 0. Celtic leading by that 40th-minute goal from Furuhashi. Should have a second one. Didn't quite make contact. Maeda put a header straight into the arms of Stewart, but Celtic are effective puppet masters. Harry Corbett would be proud of them, wouldn't he, John? 1-0.
Yes, and of course I should have explained the significance is that Harry Corbett is from this area, the creator of Sooty and Sweep, hence the link with Leeds. Thank you, Roddy, for putting me straight. Leeds 3, Chelsea 0. Thiago Silva to Cucurella. This is quite sobering, quite chastening, this defeat for Chelsea, as Cucurella receives it on the halfway line. Thiago Silva, Cucurella, and then Cucurella all the way back to Mendy.
It tells you a story about the Premier League, though, doesn't it? It doesn't matter who you are, if you're Brentford or if you're Leeds United or anyone. If you go with the right attitude and you play at that tempo for an entire game, you can just about do it anyone. You know, if they're not up for it, if they're not at 100%, you will suddenly become favourites. And just a moment there, Jesse Marsh is going to make a couple more substitutions in a minute. But one of his players didn't close down there. He went absolutely mad on the bench there. 3-0 up. He ain't relaxing at all. He knows that his team have to get used to that and never ever let it go. And they've been brilliant at it.
Throw in for Chelsea. Yeah, Leeds are going to make a triple substitution. Oh, goody. Here's Ziyech on the right-hand side. He crosses, but that's headed away by Llorente. It's out of play. Greenwood is going to come on, I think. Matthias Klick is down there. So Klick, Greenwood,
Gelhardt possibly.
And the ever-popular Gelhardt, who is absolutely adored around here. I was watching some kids before the game trying to attract his attention in the warm-up. So 3-0 Leeds. And Cucurella is in there to win the ball back from Sinisterra. Sterling on the edge of the box. Sterling gives it to Chilwell. Chilwell's cross now to the edge of the 6-yard area. Strout headed it away, comes out to Ziyech. Ziyech shot, it's hit his own man. Sterling's had his shot saved, but the offside flag was up against Havertz. Yeah, Havertz who the ball hit. I mean, it hit. I mean, that sums it up for Chelsea. That was almost comical. Yeah. Chested down by Ziyech, hit with force, and it's knocked Havertz over.
Well, it's knocked Havertz over, and if you look at Havertz, he's 5 yards offside. Shouldn't be 5 yards offside. You need to get yourself back onside again, so you shouldn't have been anywhere near that when it happened.
Players who are coming off. Aronson's coming off. He's going to get a great reception. Harrison as well. Two of the scorers, Jack Harrison and Brendan Aronson. Haven't they both caught the eye? And also coming off is Rodrigo, the captain. So all three scorers substituted. Nice touch from Jesse Marsh. They can have a big ovation with 6 or 7 minutes left to play.
When you listen to Jesse Marsh talking, it's a huge amount about the friendship, understanding, respect for the players, building relationships within the players. And if you take the three scorers off and give them their moment in the sun in every way possible, literally as well, they'll respect that and they'll love that and they'll love that moment. It just shows you with 8 minutes to go, he absolutely believes his team was won this game.
Yeah, I think everyone does. Here's James on the right, who's crossing to the back of Llorente. So Greenwood is on into the midfield. The northeasterner, the 20-year-old, the number 42, Matthias Klick, the experienced Pole, and Joe Gelhardt, who himself is 20 now, scored against Chelsea last season. You might remember, Pat, at Stamford Bridge when Chelsea won it with a late Jorginho penalty. But all those years of hurt for Leeds against Chelsea are coming to the end in quite emphatic style here today at Elland Road. James takes the throw and Havertz tries to work it across the edge of the box and it's cleared away downfield. And when you see this, it looks like Chelsea, despite all of the additions they've made, have got problems all over the place.
It sometimes looks like that, and really, you know, it means getting Kante back, it means getting Kovacic back. However,
Gelhardt with a powerful turn on the halfway line to beat his man. Click gives it back. Aaron Koulibaly has caught Gelhardt. It's a second yellow card, and Koulibaly is sent off. Now Chelsea are down to 10 men, and Koulibaly has to leave the field and will face a suspension for the home match against Leicester next weekend.
Johnny mentioned the problem they've got with centre-backs. Well, it's just got a whole lot worse. And by the way, he has absolutely no excuse. I mean, in the first half, he drags the player by the shirt back when he shouldn't do it. You're 3-0 down, you're running out of centre-backs, and you drag a player back by the neck when you're ready on a yellow card. That is bizarre behaviour for a defender. Absolutely bizarre.
So Chelsea will play the remaining 6 minutes or so plus added time with 10 men. Koulibaly has gone. He's had to make the ward. He's been waved off by the Leeds United supporters as Greenwood takes this free kick for Leeds into the area. That's headed away by Loftus-Cheek. It bounces down. Sterling plays it forward to Ziyech, who's on the right-hand side. Ziyech plays it long and left-footed. Chilwell watches it bounce and then takes it round the outside, down the left. Low ball into the penalty area is cleared away by Llorente, who comes across. Incidentally as well, this could be Leeds United's first clean sheet at Elland Road since November. Not kept a clean sheet at home since last November. 13 home matches in all competitions. Let all of those goals in last season. The crowd, by the way, 36,372. And the majority of them, the Chelsea fans, I can see a number of them are leaving, if they haven't left already, away in the corner to our right in the stand, John Charles stand. Downfield, this is for Gelhardt to chase again. Thiago Silva just is able to move into his path and stretch the ball away. And now Click wins it back again, but Loftus-Cheek was fouled in the winning of that ball back by a combination of Forshaw and Click.
And again, if you're Leeds United, you talk about years of playing against Chelsea, you know, all the history between these two clubs and these games. They would love it to be 4. They would absolutely love it to be 4. And then I think a few Manchester United fans will start saying, well, wait a minute, what about the second we go after Brentford?
And
so Azpilicueta will come on and try and shore it up.
Yeah, Thomas Tuchel trying to make sure it doesn't get any worse. Takes off Raheem Sterling, who that's 3 matches now, competitive matches without a goal. He's had the ball in the net a couple of times, but offside against him. So Azpilicueta is on at the back. Leeds 3, Chelsea 0. And Koulibaly, who's been, a very promising start, has got himself sent off. Be suspended for the visit of Leicester next week. And Chelsea send a long pass into the area looking for Havertz. Llorente got there first. This clean sheet will be big for Leeds as well. They'll want that really badly. And then they win a free kick for a foul on Sinisterra halfway inside their own half. We've got 3 minutes to go. Jesse Marsch is an absolute bundle of energy, and Thomas Tuchel in stark contrast to what happened last weekend with Antonio Conte. I mean, he's been a quiet, subdued figure.
He's been an interesting figure this season, Thomas Tuchel. Against Everton, he looked furious for almost the entirety of the game. And then we've seen the anger, etc., the Spurs game. This one, he looks absolutely desolate.
Yeah, Greenwood very nearly found the pass through to Gelhardt, but cut out by Thiago Silva. Last knockings here. Chelsea 3-0 down. Brighton are still winning by 2-0. Reece James trying to force his way through against Click and Greenwood, but he can't do so, and the ball bounces out of play off one of those Leeds men for a throw-in on the halfway line. Celtic still winning 1-0 against Hearts. More on all of those matches to come. And Newcastle Manchester City commentary here on 5 Live at 4:30. Throw in for Leeds, now halfway inside their own half.
You just look at the ball was played up to Havertz there, and his control was dreadful. I mean, really awful, half-hearted. And it's, we know he is a real quality player. We know he's a technically brilliant player, but not even be able to control a ball that's played to his feet. It's sums up how many Chelsea players have been so far below their best, miles below their best. Whereas I think just about every Leeds United player has played pretty close to their maximum today. And by the way, they've done it without Bamford.
Yes, they have. The injured Bamford, half Havertzed, you might say. And they've got a problem there because his form seems to have deserted him. Havertz, just when they needed someone to step up. Leeds play this ball forward, but click on the chase. Thiago Silva allows him to trot past him. It's through for a goal kick to Chelsea, and we're in the 90th minute now. What a day it's been for Leeds.
Yeah, and there were plenty of celebrations about them, but a lot of questions asked. Before the game, we were talking about the importance of Chelsea get centre forward or centre half with Alan Shearer. Still don't know the exact answer to that yet, to be fair. I think the simple answer is not either or, it's both.
Yeah, Pulisic on the left-hand side for Chelsea, Havertz. But this is vain for Chelsea now, vainly chasing what would be one of the worst phrases in football, a consolation goal. Chilwell and Pulisic together. It's a foul, and it's a free kick to Chelsea on the left flank. The goals from Aronson and Rodrigo in the first half, and then Jack Harrison. That was the crucial goal in the 69th minute, that one. Chelsea with this free. 3 minutes of added time, I think that so there was sympathy in that for Chelsea. That must be the absolute minimum of time that could be added on. As the ball's played back centrally and square and across Azpilicueta, and James is onto this, and James just drags it back and gives it to Azpilicueta, who's now on the right-hand side, and then the club captain back to Reece James, and it's chested away from Llorente, and it's back to Roddy Forsyth at Celtic.
It's half-time here at Celtic Park. Celtic 1, Hearts 0. That goal coming early from Kyogo Furuhashi. Really should be 2 or 3, but Celtic have been profligate, and with Hearts on the chance, Ginnelly was off the mark. So half-time, Celtic 1, Hearts 0.
Celtic, it would seem, if that scoreline remains, on the way to 4 wins to start the season. Chelsea are staring at their first defeat here, and that's what's going to happen in a couple of minutes' time, and Leeds will march on unbeaten this season with 7 points from 9 available. The team that only just escaped relegation on the final day of last season. And then Azpilicueta just nudges into to Matthias Klich, who rather comically dances out of the way of Azpilicueta when he threatened to take a quick free kick into him. Chilwell now on the left-hand side, but just about 75 seconds left to play. Thiago Silva is then bundled over by Matthias Klich and has gone down, and the referee has brought it back because Thiago Silva has stayed down and is holding his left shoulder.
And he's actually had problems with that shoulder before. I was talking about Chelsea's problems at centre-back. If they lost Thiago Silva now, that would be unthinkable.
Yeah, that would be big trouble. But I mean, problems everywhere. I mean, Mendy, the dependable Mendy, although, we know that it has been an issue.
I don't think he's any good with the ball at his feet.
With the ball at his feet. No, the Champions League match against Real Madrid last season was another one where Mendy was exposed. Here's Chilwell through the middle, but he was certainly exposed today. Poor touch, and Aronson, as I say, once he got the ball off him, just had to run the ball across the 6-yard box and pop it into the net. Ball on the left-hand side for Chelsea, and it's low across the back. Ziyech with a little pass into the penalty area. That was read by Llorente. They want this clean sheet, Leeds, and there's a foul on Forshaw, and it's a free kick to the home side, and there are less than 30 seconds to play now.
Again, it's good defending, not against 10 men, John, but it is really good defending as a unit there. There's like 6 of them along the back line. There was 2 midfielders sitting right in front of them. No gaps through, taking nothing for granted, not taking it easy. They want the win, they want the 3-0, and they want that clean sheet that you've been talking about.
So Chelsea, after their good win against Everton, even though it was a poor game, as you and I well know, and then should have won against Tottenham. But here at Elland Road, Chelsea are beaten for the first time this season, and beaten emphatically. Leeds have won against their old rivals Chelsea for the first time for 20 years. And what a good win it is, with goals from Aronson, Rodrigo and Jack Harrison. 3-0. Chelsea finished with 10 men after Koulibaly was sent off. Who would have predicted this, Pat Nevin?
And very few people would have. Had to watch Chelsea in the Spurs game, they might have thought Chelsea in trouble against Everton because they didn't play well. Again, it was a very poor performance again by Chelsea. So at home they look okay, but away from home. But even so, 3-0 is a huge result for Leeds United. You know, they're absolutely worthy of it. There's not a slight argument against the fact that they're worthy of it. Tactically, they got it spot on. The work rate was brilliant. The hunger was there all the way through it. A couple of things that they needed to do against Chelsea, make sure they stopped the wide players. They did that brilliantly. But when you're going to win a game like this, you want to win the midfield. And Chelsea, without Kante or Kovacic in there, were swamped from the first 10 minutes of the game and couldn't get anything going. So Chelsea got a lot of stick for this. A lot of people talk about them. Keep on talking about Leeds. They look very special. If they can keep this up at this pace, John, they are going to be dangerous season. Top 6? Who knows?
Pat. Well, Thomas Tuchel has sloped quietly away, as have the Chelsea players down the tunnel. But Leeds are enjoying their moment in the sunshine here. And Jesse Marsch is swirling his jacket around his head, clenched fist to the Don Revie stand. Big Leeds smiles all over the place after Leeds United 3, Chelsea 0.
And we'll reflect on that after we've also got the full time at the London Stadium from Henry Moran.
West Ham's wait for a league point, and indeed a league goal goes on. Brighton thoroughly deserving their 2-0 win in East London. Danny Welbeck winning a first half penalty brought down by the debutant carer. Alexis McAllister dispatched a spot kick. Second half did start brighter for the home side, but when Leandro Trossard tucked away Pascal Gross's fine assist midway through the half, the game was done. Easily could have been more. Robert Sanchez in the Brighton goal, rarely tested. Those West Ham fans that stayed made their feelings very clear at the final whistle. 3 defeats in 3. They're rock bottom for Brighton. They remain unbeaten and are up to 4th.
They've had a brilliant start, the exact same start in terms of points as Leeds United. Their players still on the pitch at Ellen Road as Jesse Marsch punches the air once again. How appropriate, Pat Nevin, to be listening to the Kaiser Chiefs in the background, the reference to Lucas Radebe, a Leeds United great. It's been quite a long time since Leeds fans have been able to enjoy an afternoon like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've enjoyed a lot of afternoons over the last few years. But this is a wee bit different. This feels a little bit different because it feels more controlled now. It feels like, okay, I've been in games here when they've scored 3 and 4 goals, 2 and 3 goals, but they've lost chances, they've lost goals, and it's just looked a bit ragged and it's looked very, very open. And we love Bielsa, we love what he did, but this doesn't look like that. This looks as if it's a team that's, dare I say it, grown up tactics, get themselves behind the ball, work hard for each other. I mean, they've lost big players during the summer there, but what they've brought in is hard-working, hard-grafting players that are very good as well. We'll talk about a lot of them, and the scorers will get a lot of the chat afterwards. But I was absolutely stunned by Tyler Adams today. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. Every single tackle, he dominated that midfield. Helped by Roca as well, all the way through the team. Okay, Chelsea weren't at their best today, but they knew where Chelsea's weaknesses are. They must have studied it, and they made sure Chelsea paid for those weaknesses.
He's going to be the last one off the field, Jesse Marsch. The players now, most of them have gone down the tunnel. Actually, 2 of them are doing a TV interview. Jesse Marsch has walked all the way around the pitch. But as I said during the match, it feels like this is a very important win for him, the manner of it, because of the way that he wasn't necessarily the most welcome, because he was the man taking over from the so popular Marcelo Bielsa. His tactics have worked here. It's been a tactical win, it's been an emphatic win, and it's been a win against a team like Chelsea.
I made the comparison, John, between Brighton and Leeds, and we were there at Old Trafford when Graham Potter went away to the Brighton fans and punched the air time after time. It's a very familiar scene with Jesse Marsch here.
It is, but it's entirely different, because I think the Brighton supporters are fully embracing Graham Potter, whereas for Leeds, these are the sort of results that win over supporters and get them on your side. He knows that. I've interviewed him here last season. I've heard him speak after they've been beaten and beaten badly, and saying positive things that I don't think the supporters would buy. Well, today he can speak from a real position of strength.
It's no surprise, Pat, to see Chelsea struggle without N'Golo Kante, but we didn't expect them to struggle like this. And also, he's going to be out for quite a while.
He is. Kovacic may be back quite soon, but it's not just one player. I mean, he made a big difference last week. Actually, Chelsea were ahead, then he went off with 4 minutes to go, or 6 minutes to go, and they lost a goal. I don't think it was all down to him. But if you're talking about Kante here, yeah, world-class player. It's almost like having two players on the field, or an extra player on the field. But don't take away from the fact that a lot of others hugely underperformed today. I mean, it's not a number of Chelsea players had the poorest game maybe I've seen in a Chelsea shirt. And Havertz was almost anonymous in the vast majority of the game. Raheem Sterling, started really, really brightly, but got absolutely no service. And then, so he fell out of the game as well. Mason Mount, I was wondering, do you get him back into the midfield? Because he can play as a central midfield area and just kill some of the space in there and get some energy in there, because they were being completely overrun at that point in time. But I could keep on going all the way through the team. Loftus-Cheek was arguably close, along with Reece James, man of the match last week. This week, nothing happening at all there. And that's before you start getting to Koulibaly and Mendy. Koulibaly's 2 yellow cards. When you watch them in Match of the Day too, you just wait to see. I actually think other players get angry when a player does that, because even if you're not a supporter of that team or you don't follow that team, you just look at the stupidity of it, the unnecessary pulling somebody back when they're breaking into an area with those other players, or at the end of the game when you're breaking in an area. Hey, if they score, it's 4-0. What's the difference between that and the 3-0? It's a big difference between that and now you've got a centre back that's going to be missing when you're struggling in that area anyway. And of course you get to Mendy, and Chelsea fans will tell you all over the place, the heart's in their mouth when he's on the ball with his ball at his feet. He gets away with it quite a bit, and no doubt the manager's asking him to play out to the back. Close him down, you will get chances against him. There's no doubt about it. We've seen it twice. We've seen it very, very close, much more than that. They have to consider that. They really have to consider that.
Pat, John, thank you very much indeed. Well, Chelsea's first defeat of the season, and